What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new scenario. I've sort of included this topic in other what ifs, but never made it its own story. It's always been kind of a side thing. This is going to be a more grounded story, even though the concept might sound a bit crazy. Today, we begin covering what if Goku learned fusion early. So, what exactly do I mean by that? When does he learn fusion and how? Well, I think there's a perfect spot to fit this in. We start all the way back in the Saiyan saga. Goku is training with King Kai. The big change here in this scenario is that King Kai knows something else, the fusion dance. Goku doesn't spend a lot of his time training with this, also because it doesn't really require a lot of time, he just has to learn the dance and Goku gets down pretty quickly. So that's the only change we're making here. King Kai knows the fusion dance, which isn't too crazy. I mean, he is in Otherworld, and Goku learned it from Metamorphs in Otherworld, so it's not a huge stretch to say King Kai teaches it in this scenario. Goku spends way more time learning Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb, and he doesn't really know if he's going to use this fusion technique. It does seem pretty powerful and potent, but first of all, they don't really have a lot of time to work on this, and they had to squeeze it in the first place. And King Kai does warn Goku that it's easy to mess this dance up, and if he does, it would create a failed fusion and be the end of him. Not to mention, Goku doesn't really want to rely on this for a fight, he'd rather just fight on his own. He keeps this in his back pocket though. First he's going to fight the Saiyans, and then maybe he'll visit this later on, even if he doesn't come to King Kai directly. He has the dance down in his mind, and he knows exactly what he needs to do with it. He just needs to practice it on his own time. For now, he's focused on defeating the Saiyans, and he doesn't think fusion's going to come into play there. And it doesn't. Goku gets back to Earth, and there's no fusion during the Saiyan saga. First of all, there's not really anyone to fuse with, because by the time he gets there, well, a lot of the group is dead. He could fuse with Krillin, but he's not sure if he should risk it because Krillin's a lot shorter than him, so it makes the dance easier to mess up. Fun fact that's actually going to be relevant in this what if, Toriyama has mentioned before that people with different sizes can fuse. It would just be kind of hard to pull off, which makes sense. It would be weird kind of coordinating that dance when there's a big height difference. So it can work this way, it's just tough. That might seem like a random tangent, but it's going to be important for this entire series, particularly later on. So the Saiyan saga goes pretty much like normal. Goku didn't spend much extra time learning the fusion dance, and he doesn't apply it here, so his fight with Nappa and then Vegeta goes exactly the same. So that of course leads us to Namek. Right off the bat, nothing else is going differently here. So what's the point of Goku learning fusion so early if it's not going to come into play? I don't see it coming into play right away during the Saiyan saga, but here, it's definitely going to be important. Especially because Goku isn't the only one who's gone to King Kai at this point. The big change here is when Goku is fighting Frieza, more specifically the point when he's about to make the Spirit Bomb. So in this scene, Frieza just kind of stares around and just watches Goku, a little bit confused for a second. And he doesn't kill Goku right away, which is great. But instead of immediately going for a Spirit Bomb, he stands there and makes a pose. Telepathically he communicates with Piccolo. Did King Kai teach him the same fusion dance that he knows? Actually, yeah, King Kai thought it would be useful, so he did teach Piccolo before he came back here. That was kind of a long shot. If Piccolo didn't know it, Goku was going to use a Spirit Bomb instead. So, he tells Piccolo to come here. They're going to fuse. That's how desperate the fight is. Thankfully, Frieza's just confused about the pose that Goku makes, and then Piccolo jumps in. This is going to be very risky because if they mess up the dance, there'll be a failed fusion. Not to mention, it's going to be easier to mess up the dance because Piccolo is significantly taller than Goku. But there's something good here. Piccolo had more time to learn the fusion dance on King Kai's planet. Well, he never really practiced it himself, but he has watched it enough times because the other people on that planet were practicing. Mainly Yamcha and Tenshinhan. He pretty much has it down, and on the way to Namek, Goku practiced his dance more, squeezing in some time during his training to do so. They have one shot here. If they mess it up, they're all dead. But if they get it right, it's a surefire victory. The two perform the dance, just confusing Frieza even more, and then they execute it. King Kai's watching on from his planet, and he thinks this is a really ballsy move because he's not sure if they could pull it off right away. But he looks on with amazement, and the three other Earthlings there question what's going on. King Kai says Goku and Piccolo did it. They pulled off the fusion dance. There's a brilliant flash of light, and standing there is a new warrior. It's a strange hybrid between Saiyan and Namekian. Everyone stands there in awe. Krillin and Gohan are wondering what just happened, and Frieza's just really confused right now. Did they merge? The fusion's happy. Looks like those two pulled it off. But now he needs a name. So I used the name Gokulo before in another what if, and that was for a Potara fusion version of these two. So for this fusion, we'll call it Pikoku. Straightforward enough. The Metamorph fusion of Piccolo and Goku. Thankfully, Goku didn't need to lower his power too much because Piccolo was already pretty powerful as is at this point in the story. We don't know exactly where he stands in terms of power, but we know second form Frieza's power is over 1 million. In the manga version, we don't really see Piccolo fighting with Frieza too long, but he's able to hold his own with weighted clothing on. By the time he actually gets serious, Frieza decides to go in his third form anyways. My personal view is that Piccolo is somewhere between second form Frieza and third form Frieza because he looked confident enough to take on second form Frieza, but couldn't beat him in his third form. And that's relevant here because that tells us how much Goku will lower his power. So at bare minimum, Piccolo is over 1 million because that's where second form Frieza was. At worst, Goku would have to lower his power to that, or maybe it's even closer and Piccolo's nearing that 2 million range. We don't know for sure. Either way, the point is, Goku's power is going to be added to Piccolo's power, then multiplied. That's how the fusion works. Because according to Gogeta in the Broly movie, their powers are added together, then multiplied. What that exact multiplier is, we don't know for sure. We don't know the specific fusion multiplier, but it's significant enough where a base fusion can surpass its two fusees in their highest forms. And it is definitely a much higher multiplier than regular Super Saiyan. The reason I'm mentioning all of that is because we're trying to be more grounded here. I'm not going to give my own random multiplier out, but at the same time, we don't really have anything besides rough estimates. But I think it's safe to say that this fusion would be able to beat Frieza. Because even in the worst case, if the two of them are at a power level of 1 million, that means their added strength is 2 million. Then Super Saiyan would be 50 times on top of that, but fusion is stronger than Super Saiyan by a significant amount. Frieza's full power is 120 million, so this fusion would require a 60 times multiplier to match him. And that's assuming the lower end where they're only at a power level of 1 million each. I guess 1,000,001 because Piccolo is over 1 million, and that would be the bare minimum. Anyways, that's a long-winded way of saying Frieza is screwed here. The fight begins, and right off the bat, it's pretty clear that Goku has the advantage. He's completely outspeeding Frieza. Frieza can't keep up at all. Frieza starts attacking too, and Goku either dodges all of them, parries them, or just attacks on his own. He's completely unfazed by Frieza's attacks, while the opposite isn't true. Frieza's actually feeling these attacks from the fusion. And the craziest part is, Goku's kind of going easy right now. He's getting used to this body, and he also thinks he can use Kaioken if he wanted. Piccolo never learned it, but Goku did. So if he ever needs to fall back on that, he can, and combined with Piccolo's regeneration, that might be insane. Frieza tries to take the fight more seriously, but nothing's working. He then mentions that he isn't at his full power yet, and he's going to power up to 100%. And you know, I think Goku would let him power up, because first of all, Goku let him power up. He would want to defeat Frieza at his strongest, and Piccolo probably would too, because previously when Piccolo fought Frieza, he was holding back too, and he wanted to give Frieza payback, so I think this fusion would just let him power up. Not only because he would want to defeat Frieza at his strongest, but also because he's pretty confident right now. Not cocky, just confident. He knows there's a big gap here. So Frieza goes to his full power, with Krillin and Gohan watching on nearby, pretty terrified. It's weird because Piccolo already fused once today, and now he's got a second one going on, but from what Krillin understands, this might be temporary because they pulled it off without hesitation. Well, he hopes it's temporary, and so does Gohan. They're actually not sure, but Gohan doesn't know what he'd think about Piccolo being Goku now, or Goku being Piccolo, or whatever. That would be a really weird situation at home. At full power, Frieza still can't do anything to Goku. And out of desperation, he even tries to destroy the planet, but Goku is fast enough to stop the blast, kicking it right back at Frieza, hitting him with his own attack. And you know, he's kind of had his fun here. He's ready to defeat Frieza. So what would he do with Frieza here? Would he give him a chance to leave or kill him right away? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think the Piccolo side of him would want to kill him right away and get it over with. But even if he does somehow spare him, Frieza's not making out of here, and the fused fighter ends up killing Frieza regardless, and preventing the planet's destruction in the process. Gohan and Krillin run over to celebrate, and they make sure to ask, is this temporary? Well, yeah, from what they understand, it's only going to last 30 minutes. Eventually they do defuse, and because they didn't really use much power in the first place, it was a full 30 minutes that it lasted. And Goku thanks Piccolo. They pulled it off perfectly. And Piccolo thinks it's kind of ironic. Initially he wanted to kill Goku, but now he merged with him to defeat a common enemy. On Earth, a wish is made to revive everyone on Namek, which does actually include Vegeta. Vegeta learns that Frieza was defeated, and he wonders how. And Goku tells him that he and Piccolo merged together. And with everything fixed here, they can return to Earth. Because when everyone's revived, Porunga returns too. Thankfully, King Kai intervenes. He warns them that Frieza also has a father, and they should probably figure out what to do about Namek because he might be coming here next with Frieza dying. So a final wish to Porunga is made for all the Namekians to be moved to a brand new planet. The Namekians will use their future wishes to revive the people on King Kai's planet, and they thank everyone for their help as they're teleported away. That leaves Goku, Krillin, Bulma, Gohan, and Piccolo on Namek, with Vegeta also still being here too. And they could take their ship back home to Earth. But Vegeta doesn't decide to go to Earth. Initially he was brought there by a wish affecting everyone, and the only reason he stayed is because he wanted to see the Super Saiyan, but there's no Super Saiyan here. Also, after learning that Goku needed help to defeat Frieza, it's not really too impressive to him. He leaves Namek on his own. King Cold is out there, and Vegeta will grow strong enough to kill him. So there's been a lot of changes. There's no Super Saiyan, Krillin doesn't die, Namek's not destroyed, but that doesn't really matter right now. Frieza is actually dead. Vegeta's not on Earth, Goku doesn't go to Yardrat, and a couple more people know the fusion dance. Piccolo, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, and Chaozu. Well, what happens from here on out? Well, King Cold eventually does seek out Namek, trying to find out where Frieza went, and they find it. It's there, and the planet is still intact, but there's no one on it. It's completely abandoned. He still has no clue what happened to Frieza, or if he's even still alive. This is about a year after the event, and by the time King Cold makes it to Namek, his scouts actually do notice one power there, but then all those scouts are destroyed. Someone is living on this planet. Even with the planet being completely abandoned, one person returned. It was Vegeta. He spent all of his time training elsewhere, and then eventually came back here. It looks like he arrived just in time because Now King Cold's here. That's exactly what he planned. Ever since the Namekians left, he took this planet as his own, and knew that King Cold might show up someday. He's trained rigorously, and thankfully had a Frieza ship left behind with a perfectly fine healing pod as well. He wasn't short on resources, and he could heal himself. But now he can get what he actually wants. He would have preferred to kill Frieza, but killing King Cold, that should still satisfy him. King Cold's not amused. First off, Vegeta confirmed that Frieza's dead. Does he actually know who's responsible? As much as Vegeta would like the credit for it, he didn't kill Frieza. It was Kakarot, a Saiyan from another planet. One who he thought became the Super Saiyan, but he might have not been the actual Super Saiyan. Vegeta doesn't know all the details, but what he does know is that he'll be the one to kill King Cold instead. A fight begins between them. King Cold clearly has the upper hand here, but Vegeta is a tough opponent. It's not really an easy battle for him, but it's not particularly tough for King Cold either. Vegeta did grow a lot, but not enough to defeat King Cold just yet. Although he's able to wear King Cold out. But at some point in the battle, King Cold is able to stab Vegeta with one of his horns, pretty badly injuring him, but nothing that he can't heal from. Vegeta staggers a bit, and King Cold taunts him. Well, he can clearly see now why he's not the one who killed Frieza. Vegeta's far too weak. He wouldn't have been able to kill Frieza in the first place, and he's not going to be able to kill King Cold here. You know what? He might seek out that other Saiyan because he's wasting his time with small fry like Vegeta. Not only is Vegeta not the person who killed Frieza, but he's also just weak, annoying. He's just a pest. Although he does make an offer to Vegeta. If Vegeta tells him where he could find the actual killer, then he'll give Vegeta a quick ending instead of just letting him bleed out. He mentioned he was on some other planet. What's it called, and where could he find it? Amidst all this taunting, Vegeta's just silent. And something then finally snaps within him. Being pushed to the brink like this, being taunted by King Cold, realizing he's insignificant, knowing that he wasn't the one to kill Frieza, and Kakarot has all the glory. And the fact that Kakarot still may be a better warrior than him, he doesn't know for sure. Everything comes together, and Vegeta feels an overflowing surge of power. Through the pain he's feeling from being stabbed, he feels a more intense feeling of rage, completely drowning out the noise of that pain. There's an explosive burst of energy, and Vegeta then seemingly transforms. He has a golden aura, and his hair has also turned golden too, with his eyes changing color as well. King Cold stands there in awe because he doesn't know what this is, but he feels like he might have an idea of what it could be. And as much as Vegeta would want to savor this kill, he's kind of overcome with rage right now. He quickly dashes towards King Cold, piercing a hand right through his chest, then launching a ki blast through it. King Cold is able to survive this, but he falls to the ground with a giant hole in his torso. Wow, Vegeta didn't realize he was that resilient. And King Cold doesn't want to admit it to himself, but he thinks what he's seeing in front of him is the real Super Saiyan. And Vegeta knows full well that that's exactly what he is. King Cold tries to get up, but Vegeta steps on him, pushing him farther into the ground, making a crater as he does so. He lifts King Cold up by one of his horns, and then throws him into the sky, then pointing out at him, dirty fireworks. King Cold explodes in the air, and there's not a trace of him left. Tired out and injured, Vegeta then powers down, and he uses the last of his strength to get to a healing pod. He survived this, and he now has this new power. He did it. He actually became a Super Saiyan. At least, that's what he thinks this is. He's elated. Vegeta heals up following his fight with King Cold. Also, of course, growing stronger from this. But he can't believe the power he's feeling. Once again, he tries to transform. And it takes a lot of effort, but he is able to pull it off. There's no question about it. The power he's experiencing right now, it's Super Saiyan. It has to be. He's the Super Saiyan. This entire time it was him, not Kakarot. But this isn't his ceiling. He knows he can grow stronger from this. This is just the beginning. What can he do next, though? Frieza and Cold are gone, and there's still Kakarot left too, who he has to defeat in a one-on-one battle. But he doesn't really care too much about Kakarot right now because, well, he's not a Super Saiyan. There's no way Kakarot's on his level at the moment. And he could go and just fight him now as is, but that would be kind of boring. He's above Kakarot, and by a big margin now. It'll only be a satisfying fight if he waits for Kakarot to figure this out too, if that's even possible. Or at least find some way to get to his level. He needs to beat him in an all-out, one-on-one. So, Kakarot could wait for the moment. In the meantime, Vegeta's gonna do some target practice. Frieza and King Cold might be gone, but there definitely has to be a lot of soldiers left around space. So, he's gonna find them, destroy them all, and tie up those loose ends. Especially after learning about the Dragon Balls, he knows the soldiers are probably gonna go for them, and Vegeta kinda wants to go for them himself as well. He's gonna see if he can find Namek, and if not, it doesn't matter. He'll go back to Earth anyways to fight Kakarot, and he'll just steal the Dragon Balls there. As Vegeta begins his grand tour, let's go back to Earth. Goku decides that it's best to train with Piccolo. They did defeat Frieza, but it required a fusion. It's not that Goku hates fusion or anything, it's just that he realized he needed someone else's help to win there, and he would have preferred to do it on his own. Again, it's not really a bad thing, especially because he and Piccolo are actually allies now. They fused. That's like the best form of fighting together. Piccolo tells him to not get too ahead of himself, but he's just as motivated too, for the same exact reasoning. Unlike the fusion dance, the fusion with Nail was permanent. Both he and Goku are significantly stronger, but Goku thinks they can grow beyond that. Especially because there's apparently another family member of Frieza's out there. Like, what if he shows up here for revenge? They should be prepared. And more important, they should be able to fight him on their own. They fused basically out of desperation, but if Goku had it his way and Frieza wasn't just going around killing everybody, he would have loved to have an actual 1v1 with him, but clearly Goku was not on his level at all. Imagine he broke out his full power while Goku wasn't even fused. He'd be screwed. It's a good thing he had Kaioken and Frieza was kind of just taking his time. He needs to ensure nothing like that ever happens again. So Goku and Piccolo train a lot together, but Goku doesn't really discover anything new. The other humans join as well, especially because they learned fusion on King Kai's planet. Yamcha has somewhat lost motivation to fight, and Chaozu's also kind of getting left behind, but they do join this training, mainly because everyone wants to try out the fusion technique. Ten actually has a good idea too. Why not do a fusion battle? That should be a great way to train. Not just to make sure they have the fusion dance down perfectly, but also it's just going to be more effective, and it's going to be more fun. So they actually try this out. Piccolo and Goku fuse again, fighting against Tiencha, a fusion of Ten and Yamcha. This is basically a test run of a fusion sparring match, and it's awesome. Of course, Piccolo is the stronger one, but still, this is a really effective way to train, and it's a really fun battle. Plus, after the fight ends, both the fusees grow. They learned from that experience, and they did get stronger. Of course, they don't do this all the time, because individual training probably would work better than using a new body to fight, but their fusion battles should at least help grow their ki and their techniques, even though they're using another body. And basically the entire group messes around with fusion, trying out a bunch of different combos. Tenlin, Yamku, Krillin, Goshinhan, etc. Basically everyone tries fusing with each other. So everyone gets a better grasp on fusion, and all of them can now perform the fusion dance on a whim and with perfect execution. There's also one more person that learns the fusion dance, Gohan. Goku makes sure to teach it to him as well because it could be really useful in the future. And Gohan is involved with their training, mainly because Goku and Piccolo want to make sure he can control that power he showed on Namek. Goku didn't really get to see it too much, but he knows Gohan had one of those rage boosts again and was able to fight Frieza with it. And with Goku and Piccolo both being his teachers, they want to make sure he can master that, growing stronger than ever before. So they work with him as well, and Gohan's also more involved with the group, getting closer to the other fighters like Tenshinhan, Yamcha, Chaozu, etc. So even though Goku didn't make it to Yardrat, he's still getting really great training here because he's growing, his allies are growing, they're getting better with fusion, and because of Goku being there to kickstart everyone's training, this kind of benefits them all. So Goku might be weaker than normal, but everyone else is stronger than normal. And it's not like Goku isn't growing, he just doesn't have Super Saiyan yet. And he's not that much weaker than he is normally. At some point he'd probably reach the level where he was at least in terms of his base power. He does continue trying to improve Kaioken as well because that's really the only stat boost that he has. And amidst all the fusion training, they kind of pick up different techniques from each other because when they fuse, they could use each other's techniques. Like, for example, Piccolo never actually learned Kaioken, but after fusing with Goku for a few times, he picked up on it just from fusing. And this spreads around with everyone pretty much having a grasp on Kaioken, at least to some extent, and even though not all of them might be able to perform it, they have an idea of how to use the Spirit Bomb. And while Kaioken is pretty tough for everyone else to pull off, with Piccolo, it's kind of natural to him given that he has regeneration, especially with all the times he fuses with Goku. It's pretty easy to get a handle on. Some time passes after Namek. Amidst a day of training, Goku feels a powerful energy approaching, and it's strange, it's a familiar energy, not something that feels a little evil like Vegeta's. It feels good, and everyone else feels like they recognize it except for Gohan. He's the one person who can't tell who this is. That's because the energy they're sensing is the energy of Gohan, a familiar looking man in orange lands nearby. Everyone's a bit stunned at first because they think he looks kind of like Goku and more like Gohan actually, like an older version of Gohan. It makes no sense. And Krillin asks, does Goku have some other kid he doesn't know about? Goku says he has no idea who this is, but he does remind him of Gohan. They're right. The man introduces himself as Gohan, but they're probably not going to believe what his story is. He's from the future. Future Gohan explains who he is, how he got here, and more importantly, why he's here, also giving some medicine to Goku for the heart virus. They learn that Goku dies from the heart virus not too long from now, and this should cure that. But Gohan comes from a future where things didn't really go too well. The Red Ribbon Army returned, and androids attacked, killing a lot of their friends and allies. Gohan is one of the final survivors. And this future Gohan is younger than the one you're thinking of. He actually came back in time sooner. And there is no Trunks here, which is why he came back. So, what happened? Why is it future Gohan this time? Why did he time travel from a sooner time period? And what's going on with the androids? Gohan was kind of the last bastion of hope. Following Goku's death, androids 17 and 18 attacked, and the group tried to fend them off, but even with fusion, it wasn't enough. Especially because they didn't even really have time to perform fusion. Piccolo was able to fuse with Krillin, briefly fighting, but the two androids were able to overpower him. They actually didn't have data on fusion, so this caught them by surprise. He activated Kaioken as well, and this actually gave him the upper hand. For a brief moment, it seemed like this fusion would win the battle, but while he was winning the sprint, the androids were winning the marathon. They just needed to hold out for a little longer, because Kaioken did wear out the fusion, even though Piccolo was a part of it. It's not like he could just use it infinitely. He could just use it more efficiently. On top of that, the fusion itself would run out eventually too. And on top of both of those things, the androids have infinite energy. So Krillin was able to injure them quite a bit, and the battle was almost won, but the androids were able to pull ahead, killing everyone and leaving no one behind. Well, besides Gohan. Gohan was left unconscious from the battle, but not dead, and he woke up surrounded by the bodies of his dead friends. This was actually enough to push him into transforming, unlocking a brand new power that he knew nothing about. He felt a rage boost unlike any before, and, for the first time, Gohan became a Super Saiyan. At least, that's what he assumed it was. Vegeta had referred to Goku as some sort of Super Saiyan before, and Goku told Gohan about this, but Gohan assumed that maybe this is what Vegeta was referring to, some sort of legendary transformation that they didn't know about before. But this still wouldn't be enough to defeat the androids, so Gohan laid low for a bit, training and trying to fight them whenever he could. The year he comes from is age 775. For comparison, this is a year after the Buu Saga took place in the main story. Originally, future Gohan died in age 780, and Trunks got access to the time machine a few years later. So he got access to the time machine way earlier than normal. But how? If the androids were around, what happened that was different? Well, that's the thing. The androids aren't around anymore. The androids were actually defeated about a year ago, which gave Bulma more than enough time to work on a time machine. They no longer had to hide, and they were able to get resources much more easily. That's the other thing. The androids aren't the only threat. When going to fight the androids one day, Gohan felt a really strong power approaching, and it's weird because he felt the key, so it couldn't have been an android. It took him a bit to recognize who it was, but it clicked. It was Vegeta. He hasn't felt Vegeta's power in years. Why is he on Earth? He didn't approach Vegeta, but he felt his power rise like he was fighting someone, and then Vegeta just left. He then tried to confront Vegeta, but he just saw a spaceship going out into space. It was really weird to him, and he didn't understand why Vegeta came here, defeated the androids, and then left. But there is a reason. Future Vegeta went to Earth because he's been waiting for a while. He was expecting to encounter Kakarot sometime soon, but it never happened. He came to Earth, and he didn't feel any strong powers, and everything looked apocalyptic. And then he encountered the androids, realizing they were the ones who destroyed everything, and he learns from them that they killed Goku. So Vegeta fought them, and realized it was kind of pointless to be here because, first of all, he came to fight Goku, and second of all, he came to get the Dragon Balls because he never was able to find Namek again. At least the new one. He still did live on the old Namek. He assumed that with everyone dead here, there would be no Dragon Balls either. So, that's why he left. Thankfully, he didn't just blow up the planet in the process because that would have been kind of pointless. Maybe it was out of a false hope that one of the fighters on there would return someday. But as far as Vegeta could tell, no one was there. So that's why Gohan came here and was able to get here earlier. The androids were defeated. Earth was indirectly saved by Vegeta, and Bulma completed the time machine sooner. And, of course, Goku takes Super Saiyan for a test run, fighting Gohan while he uses that form, getting to see it for the first time. He knows for a fact that Gohan can at least access it, but wonders if he can too. Like, they've known about Gohan's rage boost for a while, and maybe this power is just attributed to that, or it could be attributed to him being a Saiyan in general. After all, he is Goku's kid, so whatever Gohan could pull off, maybe Goku can pull off too. He's not entirely sure, maybe it's a Gohan exclusive thing, but he'll find out his own way. So now they know of everything. The good news, Goku can get a new transformation. The bad news, Goku's gonna get the heart virus, the androids are gonna show up, and Vegeta's out there somewhere. Probably as an enemy, even though he inadvertently saved Earth by killing the androids. And that tells him Vegeta's really strong because if no one besides Vegeta was able to defeat the androids, and he did that single-handedly, that's a huge testament to his strength. Future Gohan returns, and he's glad to see everyone here, especially Goku, Piccolo, and his past self. But this isn't the last time he's gonna be here. He'll come back in 3 years to make sure everything goes okay, and he's hoping that this will fix his timeline, although they're not really too sure. So, training begins. They need to stop the androids but also prepare for Vegeta, and also make sure Goku doesn't die of the heart virus. Goku begins working for Super Saiyan, and amidst his training, the others come to realize something. They don't really know much about the heart virus, but they've been around Goku a lot and even fused with him, so they wonder if the heart virus is transmissible. It's especially concerning because fusion, like what if the fusions had the heart virus? So they're extra careful, and when any of them exhibits any sort of sign of the heart virus, especially Goku, they'll be ready to take the medicine. Nobody else catches the heart virus, thankfully, but when Goku gets the first symptoms, he takes it. Basically, everyone else is conscious of the heart virus, so that means Goku's able to catch it earlier on, and by the time the androids are supposed to appear, he's already recovered from it. They didn't really hear much about the androids, but when they arrive in the city where the androids show up, they locate 2 of them, androids 19 and 20. They don't realize that these aren't the same androids Gohan was talking about, and they get ready to battle. Goku's really happy here too because he's not going to rely on fusion. He thinks he could fight one of the androids alone, and he displays a new power that he's gotten. Over the course of his training, Goku's unlocked Super Saiyan for himself, using this to first fight Android 19, quickly figuring out that he can absorb energy as well. But with Goku's own smarts and power, he's able to defeat Android 19 relatively easily, which leaves Android 20 next. He's able to make an escape, but then encounters somebody else. As the group's looking for Android 20, they see a huge explosion in the distance, and they feel a very similar power. At first they're hoping that future Gohan showed up, but he didn't. At least not yet. When they sense the key, they realize who it is. They quickly fly over. They see a crater with the remains of Android 20 in the middle of it, but floating above is someone surrounded in a golden key. Another Super Saiyan, one that they didn't expect to see for a while. it's Vegeta. Why is he here so early? Future Gohan says he wasn't going to arrive for a few years. What Future Gohan didn't know is that Vegeta had been passing by Earth from time to time, trying to sense any powers on Earth not too far out in space. So he actually had been by Earth a few times. In the future, he missed the first battle with the androids, but every other time he came by, he just didn't sense anything. But Gohan traveling through time already changed some things, because first of all, 2 different androids are here, and now Vegeta's here earlier on. He flew by and he just so happened to sense everybody's power. He doesn't know who that old guy he just killed was, but he was trying to get in the way. So Vegeta simply eliminated him. But now he could finally settle the score. He's here for a one-on-one fight with Kakarot. Vegeta's of course here for one thing. He wants to fight Kakarot, and right off the bat, he notices that he's not the only Super Saiyan, which is great. It is a bit of a surprise, he thought it might be exclusive to him, but if anyone else were to pull it off, of course it would be Kakarot. But even though they might both be Super Saiyans, Vegeta knows he's the better one. After all, they might both be Super Saiyans, but Kakarot is still a low-class warrior at the end of the day. And Goku reminds Vegeta, him being low-class doesn't matter. He should have learned that last time they fought. And after all, even though he did have to fuse with Piccolo, who was the one to kill Frieza? Well, Vegeta has some news for them. He killed King Cold, so pretty similar. The best part is, he did it alone. He didn't need to merge with someone or whatever Kakarot did. Actually, it was thanks to him becoming the first Super Saiyan. And Goku agrees to a fight. It seems like they don't need to worry about the androids anymore. Weirdly enough, this did happen in the future as well, but here it happened way earlier where Vegeta just solved the problem for them. Although, Gohan hasn't showed up yet, and Goku wonders when he's going to get here. But a fight with Vegeta shouldn't be too bad. Goku thinks he might be able to beat him this time, and unlike the androids, Vegeta's not really here to kill everybody. Beat them up, sure, but kill them? It seems like they might be past that at least. Round 2 of Goku vs. Vegeta begins. Both start their fight in Super Saiyan. Watching from the sidelines, Gohan says that they should get involved. Not future Gohan, he's not here yet. This is present Gohan. But Piccolo says he knows Goku wants to do this one-on-one. Krillin hopes it's going to turn out okay, like, he's confident in Goku, he knows what he's capable of, but Vegeta's a whole different animal now, especially with the fact that he's also a Super Saiyan. Piccolo thinks that if this is just a normal battle, and there's no threat of Vegeta just killing everyone like last time, then they don't need to get involved. That might just piss off Vegeta more if anything. And it may even annoy Goku a bit too. He seems to want to do this one-on-one. The fight has a pretty explosive beginning. They immediately start by launching beams at each other. The beams collide and explode, with the 2 Saiyan warriors using the beams as cover, then trying to land melee attacks. Their fight goes up into the sky, and it's pretty insane for the others to watch, a battle between Super Saiyans. Until a few years ago, they didn't even know Super Saiyan was a thing, and in the future timeline, no one else even got Super Saiyan until Gohan did. Well, as far as they know. Now that they're putting the pieces together, they assume that future Vegeta probably was a Super Saiyan as well. Future Gohan never did see it, but think of what happened in the future timeline. And they don't know that anything's changed with the timelines yet. If anything, things would have only changed after Gohan came here, so Piccolo comes to realize that Vegeta definitely became a Super Saiyan before Goku did, which means he may be more experienced with the form. The thing is, Goku was training with everyone, and as we know, training with others helps people grow stronger faster in Dragon Ball. And Vegeta did start at a weaker base point, but he got a head start with Super Saiyan, so who knows how this fight's gonna go. Right off the bat, it seems kind of apparent that Goku might have the edge thanks to his skill. In terms of raw power, they're pretty close to each other. Goku might be a little bit ahead, but not significantly. And even with Vegeta's advantage, they think Goku might actually have this one in the bag. But Vegeta explains his story to them, letting them know how long ago he achieved Super Saiyan, and how he even got it in the first place, as well as what he's been up to. It's not like he's just been sitting around doing nothing. He's trained with the form. A lot, actually. And even though it might seem like Goku's ahead right now, the fight's only just started. Vegeta's about to do something, but a new fighter then shows up and interrupts, launching a blast at Vegeta, but he's quick enough to react and swat it away. Thinking it's one of Goku's friends getting involved, he angrily yells out at them, but sees that it's not one of them. Actually, it's someone who he doesn't really recognize. Well, he's wearing the same outfit as Goku, and he actually looks kind of similar to Goku too. But Vegeta's eyes widen and he looks really shocked to realize there's another Super Saiyan here. Future Gohan has returned. He apologizes for being a little late, but he didn't expect Vegeta to be here right now. What the hell's going on here? Did the android show up? Why is there another Super Saiyan here? He's never seen this guy before. Goku tells Gohan that the android's thing is under control. And Future Gohan's glad to see that Goku has achieved Super Saiyan for himself. That's great. Well, they could discuss the androids later. It seems they need to deal with Vegeta right now. And he asks to help, but Goku says he's got this. He's gonna do this fight one-on-one, and win it one-on-one. He appreciates the thought, but he doesn't need Gohan's help here. Wait, Gohan? Isn't that the name of Kakarot's son? Vegeta demands an explanation now, especially with this guy interrupting the fight. On top of that, with him being another Super Saiyan, he comes to learn that this guy's actually a future version of Gohan, which Vegeta's not even concerned about the time travel part. He's more amazed to see that there's another Saiyan, and he's a hybrid Saiyan, and he achieved Super Saiyan for himself. That must be why Kakarot got Super Saiyan. This messenger from the future was the one who told him about it. But Vegeta says regular Super Saiyan won't be enough. He's gone beyond, and he wonders if Goku's going to be able to keep up with this. After defeating Goku, he'll go for that future Super Saiyan next. Vegeta starts charging energy, and not much about his form changes, except his hair gets more rigid, and he starts to bulk up a bit. it looks like he becomes a slightly larger Super Saiyan. From what Vegeta could tell, Goku is stronger, at least when it comes to their base powers. But Vegeta's gone beyond Super Saiyan by this point, and this is proof of that. At his peak, he's stronger than Goku, and Goku can't do this either. Vegeta simply calls this Super Vegeta. Goku's kind of amazed at first because, cool, he didn't know they can go beyond Super Saiyan, but at the same time he's a bit concerned because he doesn't know if he's going to be able to win this with Vegeta now being stronger. How did he get this form in the first place? Vegeta says that's a story for later, but just know he hasn't been training alone. And seeing this, future Gohan realizes it's probably a good thing he didn't fight Vegeta in the future, because if he actually encountered him and he showed off this form, he would have been screwed. Phase 2 of this battle begins. Goku, of course, hasn't gone beyond Super Saiyan himself, but as he's fighting Vegeta, he can see some flaws. Sure, Vegeta is stronger now, and it's a gap that Goku might not be able to close, but this form has downsides. He sees it's wearing Vegeta out faster, and it decreases his mobility. He's too bulky, and clearly what's happening is he's stressing his power right now, trying to use everything at once. So it's a double-edged sword. After rethinking it, Goku thinks this might be winnable. He just has to outlast Vegeta and go on the defensive. Of course, he doesn't have perfect control of Super Saiyan. Neither of them have perfected it, but this first form of Super Saiyan is more efficient and doesn't have the downside of less mobility. So maybe Goku can close the gap with that. Although Vegeta's fighting really ruthlessly, making great use of that extra power and extra speed, even with the lack of mobility. Not to mention, Goku can't really injure him as much. Vegeta's actually pretty impressed because he thought this form would just seal the deal. It would win the fight right away, but Kakarot is still holding his own somehow, even with the power disadvantage. But Vegeta's not stupid. He knows the downsides of this form, and he knows that he probably should use it to finish the fight quickly. He knows Kakarot's probably going to try and outlast him, and that's his strategy. He's not going to let that happen. The fight begins to turn in Vegeta's favor, and it ends just like it started, a beam clash. Goku flies back, launching a Kamehameha, while Vegeta charges a final flash, overpowering Goku's beam and pushing him back, sending Goku flying across the battlefield, knocking him unconscious and leaving him there injured in a crater. It was no easy fight for Vegeta, but he floats there breathing heavily, and then smiles. He won. Not that he had any doubt that he would, but still. He doesn't know if this is enough for him because Goku is still stronger in his base. He beat Goku, but he has a higher form than him. And the thought does cross his mind, he can just kill everyone here. But he comes to realize Kakarot's a pretty good opponent. Not once, but twice, Kakarot has challenged him and given him a good battle. It would be kind of a waste of a good opponent. And besides, as much as he hates to admit it, the only reason he's alive right now is because, well, everyone on Earth. Without their use of the Dragon Balls, he would have died on Namek and that would have been it. It gave him a second opportunity at life. And, even though he didn't get to kill Frieza, still, he got to kill King Cold. And it led him to becoming the first Super Saiyan. Future Gohan took Vegeta's threat seriously, and he's actually ready to fight, but Goku then regains consciousness, congratulating Vegeta on his win. With power like that, it would be kind of a waste to just keep training out in space. Vegeta did mention he trained with someone, so Goku wants to hear more about that. Why not come to this planet? Everyone else thinks Goku's crazy for even saying this. The last time Vegeta came here, he killed a bunch of people and almost blew up the planet. This time, things were different, but he's definitely not an ally. A ship then flies over. It's Bulma. She was nearby this entire time, but now with the coast being clear from the androids, she lands her ship to see what's been going on. And she sees Vegeta's here again, and also sees Goku's all beaten up. Wait, is Vegeta here to kill them again? Great, this woman again. Vegeta finds her way too crass. Bulma's actually one of the people that agrees with Goku. Vegeta should stay here on this planet. Clearly he doesn't want to kill them, and Vegeta tells her to silence before he actually does kill them. Anyways, he's not staying here. He came just to fight Kakarot, and he probably will be back. But Earth isn't a place for him. Krillin's pretty confused on why they're treating him so nicely, especially after Namek and what happened in the Saiyan saga. As for future Gohan, it's pretty surprising to see Vegeta like this. He never did get to see him in the future when he came back. He wonders if the future Vegeta's like this too. Or maybe it's just because he changed the timeline so much already, as well as the fact that he actually got to fight Goku here, much earlier on too. Anyways, Vegeta prepares to leave, but he has something to show Kakarot, and the others come along. He hasn't been training alone. They fly over to Vegeta's ship, not one of the attack balls that he had before, one of the big Frieza 4 ships that he stole on Namek, and two people step off the ship. What everyone sees leaves them speechless. It's two other Saiyans. Vegeta introduces them to Broly and Paragus. Amidst his space journeys, Vegeta found these two. He was looking for some strong allies and, more importantly, Frieza 4 soldiers to wipe out. For about a year he was on the hunt for them, trying to get rid of every last Frieza 4 soldier possible. And pretty much by accident, he found a planet called Vampa with a huge power on it. Of course, the second he landed on this planet, Paragus sent Broly to kill him, but he defeated Broly before he even lost control. But Vegeta didn't kill them. He saw an opportunity with this. First of all, it's two other Saiyans. And second of all, Broly seemed pretty powerful, and he liked that. Paragus still did hate Vegeta, even though it was his father's fault, but they came to realize that they can't defeat Vegeta. He's a Super Saiyan, and instead he offered to train with Broly. He wants to see more of that power. Despite the fact that Broly tried to kill him, it wouldn't hurt to have another Saiyan around. He would definitely be a much better ally than Raditz or Nappa. After a lot of convincing, and more fighting, Paragus and Broly joined him. especially with the fact that they didn't want to stay on Vampa much longer. Anyways, Vegeta's heading back out into space with them now, and he's not too sure where his journeys will take him, but he'll be back to fight Kakarot again. And this just gets Goku excited because another Saiyan's out there, and by Vegeta's standards he's strong, which means he must be pretty powerful. He's looking forward to the next fight they have, and wonders if he'll ever get to fight Broly too. Paragay seems like a pretty standard Saiyan, but Broly seems very different. He doesn't even say a word the entire time. So Vegeta flies off. Everyone else just finds this kind of weird because that's it? Vegeta just showed up to fight Goku once more, and after beating him, he's fine? Well, at least they know Vegeta's not a threat to them. Okay, well now about the androids. By the way, I forgot to mention this, but in case it wasn't already obvious, Gero stopped gathering data so the androids don't know fusion for that reason. Gohan asked what happened with that. Goku defeated one, and Vegeta defeated the other. And Piccolo actually recaps everything, but Gohan's confused about something. They said the androids were absorbing energy, right? That doesn't make sense. The ones in his timeline aren't able to do that. Okay, well, maybe they have a different ability in this timeline, so he asked out of curiosity, what did they look like? It was two twins, right? No, it was like an old guy and a large white robot. Gohan turns pale. They didn't fight the same androids. They fought two other androids, which means 17 and 18, they're still out there. Well, Bulma chimes in. Maybe they just haven't been activated yet, because they're androids after all, so it makes sense that they're being controlled by something or someone. Also because there's no other reports of anyone getting attacked. Surely they would have found out by now, especially with all the time spent watching Goku and Vegeta fight. So maybe these are two separate androids, and the other two, they just never came to fruition. They wonder where that other android was heading, the old one. He was escaping, and clearly he had somewhere to go. From what they remember, he was kind of the mastermind of the whole thing. He seemed to be commanding the other android, and he was the one most set on killing Goku. Goku even remembers at one point his hat fell off and he had a brain underneath, which suggests he was formerly human. So, he worked with the Red Ribbon Army, and he was an old guy. Did he happen to have a big mustache? Yep. Bulma wonders if it was Dr. Gero. It's kind of a long shot, but that's the only person who comes to mind. She remembers reading about him before. So, they start looking into it, and after some time they actually find Gero's lab. It was kind of a long shot, but it worked out. And when they found it, they get a few things out of it. They see blueprints for all the androids and see that Gero turned himself into an android. They also see that 17 and 18 weren't activated yet, and Gohan contemplates just destroying them here and now, but these two haven't even done anything. And as they learn more about the androids, they see that these two are victims of Gero. It's not right to destroy them. Bulma has an idea though. She'll handle it and remove any programming from them so they don't have to kill these androids. I mean, they are people after all, and this isn't their fault. It's kinda sad how it turned out in the future timeline, but from Gohan's point of view, those two are irredeemable. These two androids in the present, they haven't done anything yet. They're prisoners of Gero, essentially. Bulma says she'll work on it. While they're all looking around the lab, Bulma also finds something else that interests her. It's a partial set of notes and blueprints that doesn't seem to line up with any of the other androids here. She sees a bunch of failed androids, and they're all purely mechanical, besides 17, 18, and 20. With 20 obviously being Gero, and he's dead. But there's another one that's biomechanical. But there's no android like that around here, and he's not numbered. He just has a simple name. Cell. They look more around the lab, and they find something really weird. An entrance to another part of the lab, and there they find exactly what Bulma was looking for. Another android. Gohan's never seen this android either. This is news to him. After finding out about Cell, Bulma decides to take the project for herself. They think she should just destroy it, but she's kind of interested. She is working with the other androids too, in order to reprogram them. But she wants to take this one more so out of curiosity. You know, to see what Gero was up to. Impressed with the lengths that he was going to actually kill Goku. Well, as long as she's sure that this project won't be a threat, then they're fine with it. She could do what she wants. Although it's a bit weird for future Gohan to hear about because there is no other android in this timeline. He knows nothing about Cell. So maybe it's good that she's studying him because he's clearly not done yet, and maybe that's going to happen soon in his timeline. Bulma could actually figure out what's going on with him and if he exists in the future timeline, because if Gohan goes back and knows nothing about this threat, that could be a problem. There's definitely a missing piece to this puzzle. So future Gohan stays back a bit longer, spending some time sparring with his past self as well as Goku, of course. Bulma begins her research on Cell, and hopefully she could find something for Gohan to use. And the more she works on him, the more she realizes it could be fun actually turning him into a good guy. Considering what Gero was working with, he's incredibly advanced. And you know what? She wants to do it just to see if she can. Maybe it's not the best idea, but hey, why not? On the lookout, Kami feels a weird energy one day. And coincidentally around the same time, another time machine is found. This one's actually really old. Kami alerts Goku and he immediately comes to the lookout, alongside Gohan too. It's weird. Another threat showing up around this time? It's a bit too coincidental, and maybe it is related to the androids. Vegeta's gone, and this isn't related to him. Not to mention, Vegeta's not a threat anymore. Well, hopefully. But the weird thing is, Kami is sensing something. The androids don't have ki to sense. So maybe it is a coincidence. Maybe it is something completely unrelated. They don't know for sure. And that's exactly why they're going to go check it out. A lot of strange things are happening. Gohan found another time machine just like his. and it had that weird hole in it, and now Kami sensed this other weird being here. Plus, they just found out about this other android, Cell. Maybe this is all related, but they find out soon enough. The monster Kami sends is found in one of the cities, absorbing people, and they catch him right in the act too. It's the first time they've ever seen something like this, but they can feel his ki. It's like a mixture of a lot of people they know. Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, etc. Thankfully no Frieza and Cold because they never came to Earth here. But they already know about Cell because Bulma told them about the blueprints. They know that another android was made with their genetic material, and one look at this monster tells them that this is Cell. He looks similar to the blueprints Bulma showed them. And that little incomplete cell that they found in the tube, it does look kinda similar. And now that Gohan thinks about it, this guy kinda looks like that weird shell they found next to the time machine. Some discarded skin that was nearby. They put the pieces together. This is Cell, from another timeline. It explains how the time machine got here, and it explains who he is. Cell's glad to see them up close. He should be ready to kill them by now, but he does want to become perfect. He hopes the androids are here. Of course, he doesn't know that they're not activated. They are still around, but Bulma's reprogramming them. In the meantime, he could at least kill Goku and Gohan. That should be fun. He powers up ready to battle. It is a bit soon, but he should be good enough by now. So, like I said, Cell's composition here is basically just Saiyan with part Namekian. Thankfully in the future he never got Broly on Earth, and of course no Frieza or Cold. But still, he is pretty powerful. I mean, the DNA he has is still pretty good. Goku and future Gohan begin fighting him, and Gohan's the first to question him, figuring out that he comes from far in the future. They learn this because he taunts future Gohan. To get here, he killed Gohan. After all, how else would he have gotten the time machine? Killing Gohan a second time shouldn't be too hard. But if he's from an alternate timeline, that tells Gohan there's still a Cell in his timeline, so this guy's completely separate. He will have to fight Cell again at some point, unless they find Jiro's lab and destroy him. But in order to do that, the most important thing is defeating this Cell here first. Surprisingly, he is pretty strong, so they're going to need a little more to actually counter him. Vegeta's ascended version of Super Saiyan might have been enough, but of course he's not here right now. Goku and Gohan together is a good combo, but right now they're not doing anything against Cell. He might actually be able to defeat them. But they don't lose confidence. There is another thing they could fall back on. No words are exchanged between Goku and Gohan, they immediately know what to do. Goku quickly uses a solar flare on Cell, catching him off guard and blinding him. Gohan immediately knows what he wants to go for, the fusion dance. Before he time traveled here, he hadn't practiced the fusion dance in a while because obviously he had no one to fuse with. But during their sparring sessions recently, they did practice it again, just in case. And Gohan did remember it. He always wanted to try fusing with Goku, and now he has the chance. And as Cell's vision clears, there's a new warrior standing in front of him. Goku and Gohan have disappeared. The one standing there introduces himself as Gokhan, the fusion of future Gohan and Goku. And by far, it's the strongest fusion yet. From across the world, all of Goku's allies can sense it. Kami feels it, Piccolo feels it, Krillin, Ten, Yamcha, everybody. They've never sensed power like this before. This makes the recent fight between Goku and Vegeta look like child's play. And even Cell's taken him back. He didn't expect this. The other androids didn't have data on the fusion dance. Cell's drones might have actually picked up a little more data, but this is still new to him because it was never used in combat. Most of the time he was collecting data from combat, not just from regular training. But Cell remembers, there was one time where he got data on this. In the future timeline, as well as Cell's timeline, there was that one moment when Piccolo and Krillin fused against the androids. He remembers now. They merged somehow, but he wasn't sure how. Is that what Goku and Gohan just did? The fusion immediately goes Super Saiyan. Cell has no way of contending with him. And the fusion's pretty no-nonsense either, especially with future Gohan being part of it too. This fusion was made to protect the present and the future. The androids won't terrorize them anymore. The battle ends pretty quickly. Gohan takes some time to test out his power, but only a few seconds, especially because Cell can't really keep up. He does try to escape, but it doesn't work. Gohan begins charging a Kamehameha like normal, with both arms, and then he launches it with a single arm, as Gohan would. This is the timeless Super Kamehameha, with the merged power of the present and the future. Cell has no way to defend against this, nor can he regenerate from it. He's completely obliterated by it. With the beam flying up into the clouds, splitting them apart and letting the sun come through, shining down on the victorious Gohan. It takes some time, but eventually the father-son fusion defuses, and Gohan is really glad he got the opportunity for that. Same for Goku. Of course, this could be done with present Gohan, even right now, but you can tell future Gohan is really happy about this. And that's the final loose end tied up. The androids have been completely dealt with here, and future Gohan knows what to expect with Cell. He's going to get much stronger, but he's not even going to fight Cell. No, he's going to find Jiro's lab preemptively and destroy him if he's not already completed. And if he is, worst case, Gohan will be strong enough to kill him again. Gohan says his goodbyes to everybody, returning to his timeline. Meanwhile, in the present, Bulma continues working on the androids. She does feel pretty bad for them. I mean, they were kidnapped by Jiro after all and brainwashed. So at least she can mitigate that. And they're free to do whatever they want now. Immediately leaving Capsule Corp, beginning whatever their next journey might be. Not saying anything, but silently thankful. As for Cell, it's a different story. It does take a long time to work on Cell, more than she realized at first, but essentially she's trying to expedite the process of him being created. And it's not immediate, but she does. She's able to finish the project a lot faster than Jiro did. I mean, she has way more resources after all, and he's not being developed in an underground lab. Bulma's friends are kind of mixed on the whole thing because first of all, Cell is being made to kill them. And second of all, they don't know what to think of this guy being that powerful. She's engineering a completely new life form, but he awakens, and everyone's there to see it. Cell steps out looking much different from the one Goku saw. Bulma found out that after he awakened, he wasn't actually going to be complete. He needed parts from the other androids, which was a weird design choice, but she found a way around it, basically making Cell perfect from the get-go. And the best part is, he's good. He's obviously not programmed to kill Goku, and in terms of his personality, she let it develop kind of naturally, and it took a lot of inspiration from Goku himself. Weirdly enough, he's even a pure-hearted being like Goku, which is proof enough that he's actually going to be a good guy. Bulma kind of started this for fun, but she's surprised it worked like this. It turned out really well, and Cell's pretty happy when he awakens, greeting everyone and introducing himself. Goku's really excited. This guy seems way more powerful than the Cell he fought, and plus, he's pretty similar to Goku in terms of how he likes to fight. Bulma made sure to add her intelligence to this, uploading a lot of extra data to him. This happens a few years after the Android Saga, in the middle of the time skip towards the Buu Saga. There's a bunch of training over this time too, and Cell ends up helping a lot with it. By the point Cell awakens, Goku's already figured out how to master Super Saiyan, and he even got the same for Gohan. It took longer than normal. Obviously they didn't use the time chamber, and it took a few years on the outside rather than 9 months in the time chamber, especially because it was so spread out and less rigorous. But still, they've both mastered Super Saiyan, and Goku's on the cusp of Super Saiyan 2. Cell is definitely enough to push him above that, with Cell also being the strongest person on the planet right now. But once Goku gets Super Saiyan 2, the gap starts to close a bit, and eventually Gohan gets the same form as well. You might also be thinking Cell probably has crazy potential. I mean, he's perfect from the get-go when he's training, so shouldn't he be growing a lot? Well, not really. This Cell is different from the one we know because obviously he doesn't have Frieza and Cold's DNA. Now, it's not like his potential was fully attributed to those two. We actually don't know for sure. Although, considering how fast Frieza grows, it's a pretty good guess to attribute at least some of that to Frieza's DNA. And if so, that means he's mostly Saiyan here. So I'd imagine he's growing faster than Goku, but not much faster. So it's not like he's going to do a few months of push-ups and then get Golden Cell, and then a black form as well. No, he's just going to be perfect Cell. Which is fine, he's still really powerful as is. And eventually we get to the next World Tournament. Goku kind of wishes Vegeta came by, but he hasn't seen him in a few years, nor has he seen that Broly guy. If either of them were here, he would have definitely entered them into the World Tournament. But it seems like Earth might not be for them. Hopefully he does see Vegeta someday though. In the meantime, he of course has Cell, that's his new rival. And Cell ends up entering the tournament. He does look a little off-putting, and people don't know why he looks like that, but they assume it's just some sort of costume. And thankfully Cell looks pretty handsome too, so it's not like he looks like a freakish monster. He's in his perfect form after all, not his imperfect one. And he's pretty charming on top of that. People take a liking to him. This new contender seems interesting. But there's another person that takes a liking to him. Babidi. He wants to take energy from Cell, knowing that he's the strongest person on this planet. So Spopovich and Yama are sent to get energy from him, and that doesn't work. During the tournament, they try and take energy from him, but he instantly fends them off. He doesn't even kill them, he just easily swats them away and then breaks the device they're using. Shin and Kibito can't even really do anything about it. Thankfully, without getting energy, Spopovich and Yamu still leave, which means they'll be led to Babidi's ship. So Cell finishes up the fight he's involved in, and decides to briefly leave with the Kais, with Goku, Piccolo, and Krillin joining in too. They at least finish their matches, and hopefully they'll be back in time for the next ones. They arrive at Babidi's ship pretty quickly, and of course Dabura tries to attack them right away, but he's stopped by Cell. Goku kinda wants to fight this guy, but Cell says he has this. Besides, they've never seen Cell fight in an actual battle where they have to kill each other. This is the first time he's up to the test for that. You know what? Yeah, Goku wants to see this. So Cell begins his battle with Dabura. In terms of power, Cell has the advantage here. By this point in the story, he is stronger than Dabura by a good margin. Dabura's spit gets on his arm at one point, but Cell simply cuts off his arm and then regenerates it. That's not going to be enough to take him down. And with ease, he's able to defeat Dabura, winning the match, and Goku's really glad to see how strong he is. And he also knows that at the end of the tournament, they're probably going to go up against each other. The group infiltrates the ship and stops Babidi. Babidi gets desperate and tries to possess someone, but Cell has nothing to take advantage of, and as for Piccolo, those feelings are long gone now, even though he never merged with Kami. So, Babidi's defeated, and the Buu Saga is avoided, which at least means they can get back to the tournament in time. The final matchup is between Goku and Cell. The previous matchup was actually Cell versus Gohan, and despite Gohan's great potential, he's not training nearly as seriously as Goku, so he ended up losing that battle. But he put up a pretty good fight, so this Goku fight is going to be a lot closer. Goku is actually the second strongest behind Cell. The issue is, of course, they both know everything about each other. They spend a lot of time sparring, and Cell obviously has all of Goku's data, so it's a little bit unfair in that regard. Plus, the fact that Cell is stronger. But Goku doesn't care. He asks Cell not to hold back. Fight as he would normally. And they do have a really enjoyable fight, but Cell ends up winning the tournament, which means he has to fight against Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan never became the world champion here by stopping Cell, but this time, he can. Cell has no reason to give up the fight to Mr. Satan. He even offers Cell money and everything, but Cell turns it down. He has no need for that. But at the same time, he doesn't really have a need to be a champion here. And if this fight isn't really going to be a fun one, well, whatever. He'll be a nice guy and let Mr. Satan keep his title. Besides, he doesn't really want to be world famous. So, even though Mr. Satan never saved the world from the Cell games, he still becomes the world champion by defeating Cell in a tournament setting, which is pretty nice for him. There's a passage of time after the Buu saga. Let's say about a year or so. Something is about to happen earlier than normal due to a prophecy. Vegeta, Broly, and Paragus are still out in space. They don't really have a permanent place of residence, but their lives are actually going pretty well, although there's not really much to do for them. Vegeta's pretty pleased with where he is. He's grown a lot stronger, and he has the perfect rival, Broly. Now, getting control of Broly's power was an issue, because at some point, Broly did surpass Vegeta in terms of strength. Vegeta by now has Super Saiyan 2 and has even gone beyond that. But at one point, Broly eventually did show off Super Saiyan, and he couldn't control it. Vegeta and Paragus barely made it out of that alive, and Broly hasn't used it since. But they encounter someone unexpected one day. Someone that Vegeta actually knows from before. It's Lord Beerus, the god of destruction. And Whis, of course. Vegeta's frozen with fear, but he's looking for a rival, actually. It was prophesied that his rival would show up around this time, and it would be a Saiyan. So, he came to Vegeta, the prince of the Saiyans. He's still alive and has two others around him. Well, definitely isn't Paragus. He's a little stronger than normal, but nothing exceptional, and he is about to hit that point when he starts rapidly aging, so it's definitely not him. As for the other two, Beerus asked them about Super Saiyan God, and they know nothing about it. But Beerus decides to fight them, first starting with Vegeta, who shows off his full power in Super Saiyan 3. Without a tail, he can't really utilize this properly because his tail never did grow back, but he doesn't have enough power either way. This is basically the last resort and does nothing to Beerus. So Beerus then tries to fight Broly, and for once Broly has an excuse to go all out, so this is the perfect test for that. Beerus pushes him into Super Saiyan, and eventually Broly even shows off his full power, which Vegeta and Paragus had never seen before. They think everything's over now because there's no way they're going to be able to stop Broly. But thankfully it's Beerus he's fighting, and Beerus is pretty damn strong. He is surprised. Broly definitely has power way beyond what he expected for a regular mortal, and there's no godly key within it. But despite his great power, he clearly doesn't have control over it. So, besides his power not being divine, there's also the fact that he can't even use it properly, so that's definitely not his rival either. He stops Broly amidst the fight before he can grow too much. And he does it really easily, at least way more easily than Vegeta expected. If he could do that, he wonders how strong Beerus truly is, and on top of that, what type of rival he's looking for. Beerus actually says that Broly's power was pretty close to what he expected, but it's far too wild for him to be the actual rival that he's looking for. He still doesn't even know what Super Saiyan God is. Is it a form? A person? Something else? He's not sure. So he's still going to look for the other Saiyans too. He knows some other Saiyans exist on Earth, so he's going to check that out next. One of the Saiyans there actually did defeat Frieza, although he had to use Metamore and Fusion. Interesting. Beerus wonders if he's strong as is, or if he's just using Fusion as a crutch basically. But Vegeta wants to come along too. He assures Beerus that Kakarot definitely is strong. He's also a Super Saiyan, and Vegeta's sure that by now, he's gone beyond Super Saiyan just like he did. It wouldn't hurt to take them along, so Whis brings along Vegeta's crew. Beerus first finds a strong power out in the middle of a wasteland. It appears to be someone training here, and in Vegeta's eyes, the key definitely feels like Kakarot. But something is weird about it. It feels a little bit different. In the middle of this wasteland, they find someone meditating, but it's definitely not Kakarot. Not only does he not look Saiyan, he doesn't even look human. It's a tall green man, and he doesn't know who they are, and they don't know who he is. Well, actually, he has kind of an idea. It's Cell. He doesn't have data on Broly and Paragus because they came to Earth after Gero stopped collecting data and before Bulma found Cell. And of course he doesn't know Beerus and Whis, but he has data on Vegeta's fight with Goku in the Saiyan saga, and thinks he might be here as a threat, especially because Goku told him before that Vegeta returned to fight him at one point. But Cell calmly asks who they are, and Beerus explains. He's the god of destruction. Cell's never heard of anything like that, and he can't sense this guy's power, but if he really is strong, he would love to fight him, as long as he's up for it, of course. Vegeta has no clue of what he's walking into. First of all, how does this guy know him? Second of all, why does his ki partially feel like Kakarot's? And third, why is he acting like a more polite version of Kakarot? Beerus learns that Cell is actually part Saiyan. Well, he's looking for a full Saiyan, but maybe this will be interesting. And Cell will be sure to get Goku over here. Actually, Goku will probably sense them fighting and come over here regardless. And he explains who he is too, which is pretty surprising to Vegeta. This guy's a completely artificial android. Broly and Paragus note something strange too. Part of his ki feels like Vegeta's. Oh yeah, his original creator did get some DNA from Vegeta. He does apologize, he didn't really have a say in it. Hopefully that doesn't offend Vegeta at all. And Vegeta is a bit annoyed about his DNA being stolen for some android that he doesn't even know about, but now he's also curious. How strong is this guy? Actually, does he have Broly's DNA? Well, actually not. He knows nothing about Broly. Broly was only on Earth very briefly, and the computer was still collecting a bit of data, but it wasn't adding more DNA to Cell by this point. Plus, it wouldn't have even known Broly was a good target for that because he never fought in general. So even if the drones were still collecting DNA, Broly wouldn't have been one of the people targeted. Anyways, that's just a long way of saying Broly is not part of his DNA. Beerus begins fighting Cell, and he actually sees that he's pretty strong. And it eventually leads Goku over to the area, realizing there's a fight going on. Cell then catches Goku up to speed, and they learn what Beerus is looking for. Beerus is getting a little impatient, but he's been having fun so far. Plus, he's curious about trying the food on this planet. Goku says it's definitely really great, and they could set him up with something. But if he wants to find out about the Super Saiyan God, Goku knows nothing about that. Although he does try to fight Beerus, and of course it doesn't really go well. He's around the same level as Vegeta by now, and he actually did get Super Saiyan 3 for himself, with the same downsides Vegeta has, of course. So nothing really comes of that fight. So far, Broly was the strongest person he fought. Cell was the most impressive because he had strength and actual control on his power. And as for the other two, well, they're strong for mortal standards, but he's not too sure if they'd be his rivals. It's a weird group to pick from, but Cell has a good idea. By now, Kami has actually upgraded Shenron. He never fused with Piccolo, but he decided it might be better if Shenron has a few extra wishes, you know, like Porunga. So they could just summon Shenron and use one of the wishes for that, trying to figure out what the Super Saiyan God is. Surely Shenron would know. So they do find the Dragon Balls and they summon him, learning about the ritual and what the Super Saiyan God is. So they need 6 Super Saiyans total, and the good thing is they actually do have that. They don't know how that's going to work with Broly in the ritual, especially if he loses control, and one of the Saiyans they have in mind is Cell, who obviously isn't a full Saiyan. Plus, there's Gohan and Goten, who are only half Saiyan. There's only one way to find out if the ritual would work. So, Goku, Gohan, Goten, Cell, Broly, and Vegeta are in the ritual, with Goku being the person receiving the form. They don't know how Broly would handle it, and Cell thinks it would be better suited for Goku, especially because he doesn't even know if he can get the form for himself. Vegeta wants it too, but it sounds like Goku is a better fit for the ritual anyways, with him being a pure-hearted, righteous Super Saiyan after all. Plus, Gohan and Goten would probably want him to become the Super Saiyan God, so they eventually agreed to use the ritual on Goku, with him becoming the Super Saiyan God, then fighting Beerus. And it goes pretty much like you would expect. I would say by this point in the story, Goku's pretty much relative to where he is in canon. Of course, he never died, so he never had 7 years of straight training in Otherworld, but thanks to having Cell and other methods of training, especially with fusion, I think it would help him keep pace a bit, which means when he becomes a Super Saiyan God, he's pretty much around the same level. And Beerus found what he was looking for. Well, Goku definitely needs to work on that power, but he has a bunch of potential. So does everyone else here. He'll be back someday, especially because he tried some of the food here and it tasted delicious. Beerus and Whis end up leaving, and then Vegeta, Broly, and Paragus realize they're stuck here, aren't they? They never took their ship with them. They assumed Beerus and Whis would take them back, but they didn't. Goku says maybe they can give them another ship, but then Bulma chimes in. It might be best for them to stay here. And besides, she does flirt with Vegeta a bit. Unfortunately for Yamcha, he fumbled here. But they basically have no other choice, so Vegeta, Broly, and Paragus stay on Earth. The new Saiyan residents grow stronger and try to catch up to Goku. Paragus isn't really training much because he's almost past that point in his life. But as for Vegeta and Broly, Vegeta definitely wants to get to that level in any way possible, and he's going to train for it. Sure, he could just use the ritual, but he thinks he could find a way himself without using that. Broly's not too obsessed with growing stronger than Goku, but he's training still, especially because he wants to get control of his power. Vegeta has motivated him more, and he is a Saiyan, so he does have that fighting spirit. But he doesn't have the idea in mind that he wants to be number one. Most of his focus is on controlling his power. Vegeta and Broly also learn more about Cell, and Vegeta wonders, if he's made of other people's DNA, why doesn't he include more DNA to get even stronger? He likes fighting and growing strong, so why not just do that? And you know what? Yeah, he could do that. Especially because, like I mentioned before, Cell doesn't have a crazy amount of potential in the story. He definitely grows faster than Goku and Vegeta, but not on the level of Broly, for example. He is mostly just a regular Saiyan with Namekian DNA. Without Frieza or King Cold as a part of him, it's not like he's going to have insane growth. And Goku actually likes that idea. As long as Cell's fine with it, they should do something with that. And they agree, going to Bulma, and she's basically able to upgrade Cell a bit. She gets a piece of hair from Goku to update his DNA, and also adds Broly to him too. Cell doesn't have immediate improvement, but this is going to boost him significantly. Now with the mutations of Broly, and the power of Goku's godly ki, that is really going to change things. They think this is a good augmentation for him. And it's not like he has drones collecting data for him anymore, but as a great fighter, he's been collecting data just by sparring with Goku and fighting others, so he's grown in that regard as well. At some point, Beerus does eventually return. Right now we're about 2 years after the Buu Saga, which is still earlier than Battle of Gods happened normally. Beerus is mainly here for the food, but Vegeta decides to make a move, asking if he could train under Beerus and Whis. Broly catches wind of this, same for Cell, and then eventually Goku. You know, that's a lot of people to have on his planet at once, but he goes along with it. They all have the potential to be great rivals to him, and he can only imagine how strong they'd grow by training together and getting godly ki all for themselves. Although, weirdly enough, he feels that Cell has some latent godly ki now. As for the other two, he doesn't sense it, but they've definitely been improving. They have grown stronger. Plus, there's another thing he knows about. He heard Goku knows Metamorph fusion. Whis told him this. That's how Frieza was defeated. And yeah, Goku hasn't really used it in a while. He hasn't had the need to in a bit because he's grown a lot stronger on his own. Same for all of his allies. Interesting. Beerus wonders if he could use that for a good fight. You know, imagine a couple Super Saiyan gods fusing, or Goku fusing with Broly, for example, or Cell. That's really piqued his interest. A Super Saiyan god fusion. He would love to see that. But of course, he would need to bring them to his planet. And they seem serious about it, so he agrees under one condition. Each of them needs to bring their own unique food offering. If they can impress him with the food here, they'll get to go. Vegeta and Broly are a bit disadvantaged because they haven't been on this planet long. Vegeta does procure some good food because by now he's actually living with Bulma, so he knows good cuisine. As for Broly, well, he has a good living situation with Paragus, but he's mostly used to space food. Definitely better than what was on Vampa, but still, they weren't really eating anything luxurious out in space. So on Earth, the bare minimum is good for him. And thankfully it is for Beerus too, because he was impressed by cup noodles. He'd be impressed by anything. Although cup noodles are pretty damn good, so I get that. Maybe that's what Broly gives him. Goku and Cell definitely know good foods because they've been here for so long, and this means all four of them get to go to Beerus' planet to train under Whis. This also does make Cell wonder, what if he got Beerus' DNA too? Well, that would kind of be like cheating. He'd rather just grow strong on his own now. It's not going to be fun if he just gets Beerus and Whis' DNA and then grows ultra strong and then no one can fight him. Because what's the point in fighting if he knows he's going to win everything and he has to hold back all the time? He thinks it would be better to spar and grow on his own. Not that Cell's going to do anything bad with that, because he's pure-hearted here. He's a good android, so he's not scheming or anything. Plus, he's not sure if Beerus would actually want him to have his DNA. Doesn't matter, he's not going to go for it. They're all trading on Beerus' planet and time passes. Soon enough we get to the point when Battle of Gods actually was supposed to happen. So what's changed so far? Well, one thing I do want to note is I want to keep the scenario more grounded. I did mention that in the first part, and we've already kind of gone off the rails in some aspects, so I won't introduce any new forms or anything. I promise, it's not going to get absurd. I still am trying to be realistic here, so while people are growing strong in this scenario, I'm not going to create some new original forms for them. Goku and Vegeta by now have Super Saiyan Blue. As for Broly, he has Super Saiyan God, and the serenity of this form is actually perfect for him. He doesn't have to hold back his power anymore. And maybe this will help actually unlocking Super Saiyan, because that's the next step. He needs to actually fully master that for Super Saiyan Blue to be used. He hasn't really used Super Saiyan much, and without full control on it, he can't use Super Saiyan Blue. But Super Saiyan God might be the perfect way to actually get to that point. As for Cell, he has the essence of both God forms, but has no physical change. Technically, he is using Super Saiyan Blue already, he just doesn't look like it. Like I said, we don't really want to get too crazy, so I'm not going to show you Blue Cell or anything. Just know he basically is utilizing that power. So right now, Cell is the strongest, followed by Broly, then Goku and Vegeta, who are pretty much even. Resurrection F will roll around at some point, and this does pose a significant threat because, well, once this happens, Goku and Vegeta can't just teleport to Earth like normal. Sure, if they really needed to go there, Beerus and Whis could take them, but that wouldn't be instant. Without instant transmission, Goku can't teleport them. Not that they're expecting Frieza anyways, this just means once he shows up, Earth is pretty much on its own. Frieza revived, and not too long after, his army shows up, ready to kill Goku and Vegeta. Thankfully, there's a pretty good welcoming party for them. The Z-Fighters are easily able to take on Frieza's entire army, leaving just Frieza himself, which doesn't seem like a big deal at first, it's just Frieza. They defeated him before and they could defeat him again. Particularly, he remembers Piccolo, the Namekian that fused with Goku in order to kill him, although Goku's nowhere to be seen. That's fine though, Piccolo was another person he wanted to enact his revenge on, and he knows this time to be wary of any tricks. Piccolo and Gohan begin fighting Frieza together, and he eventually goes into his final form. But he lets them know he actually has one more form beyond this now, so he transforms to show this off. And this is definitely going to be too much for them to handle at the moment. And now the tides turn really quickly. Frieza's able to get the upper hand, and it's a pretty noticeable upper hand. He takes great pride in doing this. He wished Goku and Vegeta were here, but he's sure this will draw them out. Although it's kind of funny to him. Even with that weird fusion thing they did last time, that probably wouldn't be enough here. From what he remembers last time it did make them stronger, but if this is all they're working with, there's no way it'll add anything of value. A Kianzan from Krillin then flies past him. Not doing any damage, but this kind of ticks him off because he remembers what happened last time Krillin did that. Trying to get a sneak attack, huh? He looks over at Krillin and then gets hit with a solar flare. That was just a distraction to blind him. Gohan and Piccolo instantly know what they need to do here. Frieza can't believe he fell for that, and once his vision clears, there's a new fighter standing there. Kind of looking like the one who defeated him before, but not exactly. Quickly performing the fusion dance, Gohan and Piccolo merge together, creating the new warrior Kaioken, utilizing the power of Super Saiyan 2 right off the bat. Frieza isn't too concerned because, still, his golden form is really powerful, but what he doesn't realize is that this fusion is really powerful too. First off, Gohan and Piccolo are pretty strong as is. Second of all, it's a fusion, so the power is added and then greatly multiplied. And on top of that, Piccolo and Gohan actually have an extra boost. Just as Goku and Vegeta have a boost when they fuse, I feel like Piccolo and Gohan would here too. A boost for being master and student, as well as somewhat rivals. And knowing how big of a threat Frieza is, Kaioken doesn't play around at all. It's kind of a shame he had to resort to fusion again. The Piccolo side of him would have loved to be enough to actually fight Frieza on his own, but if this is how it has to be, then so be it. Quickly he charges the Makanko Sappo, and a blast right through Frieza's head. This probably wouldn't even kill Frieza, but an attack to the brain definitely is going to do a lot, leaving him heavily disoriented and confused. Then charging a blast, he fires an attack that engulfs Frieza and kills him. What he calls a Masenko Hameha. As the name sounds like, he's trying to combine a Masenko and a Kamehameha. And with this, he ends the battle. All the way over on Beerus' planet, they of course felt this battle going on and got pretty concerned, but they watched the Whis' staff and realized that everything was under control. Thanks to that quick thinking from Krillin, as well as Piccolo and Gohan, they were able to defeat Golden Frieza. Once more, Frieza died to a fusion. It's pretty funny to them. Next up, we have the Universe 6 tournament. The roster for this time would be Goku, Vegeta, Cell, Broly, and I think Monaka would be here. Now, Goku and Vegeta have Broly and Cell as motivators, but Broly and Cell need their own motivation too, because they have each other, but what about after that? That's why Beerus thinks of Monaka. Monaka acts as a goalpost for all of them, mainly for Cell and Broly who are stronger. And the order of the team is decided with Broly fighting first. As you'd probably expect, this makes things really quick. Thanks to having the Super Saiyan God form and all his recent godly training, he's really got a hang of his power. No longer does he have those issues where he'd lose control. He still isn't really utilizing Super Saiyan Blue, but Super Saiyan God is more than enough. He basically wipes the entire roster. Eventually he gets to Hit, and even though Hit is definitely more skilled, Broly's raw power is way too much for him to handle, so no matter how much skill he has, and no matter his time abilities, it's not going to be enough. This leaves no one else with a chance to fight. Broly just sweeps everybody. This is great for Monaka. He doesn't need to fight. And this is also more than enough motivation for Goku and Vegeta, as well as Cell. So, at least everyone here is in good standing, and everyone on Earth seems fine too. Gohan and Piccolo might need to change their training methods, but still, they were able to defend Earth from Frieza, and as for the crew on Beerus' planet, they're continuing to grow stronger in the realm of gods. But speaking of Gohan, there is another Gohan we need to cover, Future Gohan. What's been going on with him, as well as Vegeta? Because you might remember, Future Vegeta is still alive. Well, let's go to Gohan. After he returned home, he did eventually stop Cell, and at some point, he met Shin and Kibito, who warned him about Bobby and Deborah, and prepared him for the threat too. He took his training very seriously, and one good thing is he was kind of a klutz with the Z-Sword, and ended up breaking it, which is amazing. That freed Elder Kai, and led to him having the ultimate ritual, leading us to Ultimate Future Gohan. He of course still kept training to grow stronger, but at some point Babidi and Deborah did strike. As you'd probably expect though, they won't be able to do anything against Ultimate Future Gohan. So they're completely stopped, and Boo is never revived, with both of the Kai surviving too, plus Elder Kai being freed. And Gohan continues keeping up, wanting to maintain this power. He is the last bastion of hope after all, and Vegeta is still out there too. He doesn't know if he might be a threat down the line or something, but regardless, he still should keep training. One day he's training on the sacred world of Kais. A strange portal appears in the sky. Immediately everyone there is on guard, but Gohan's readiness then fades away when he sees who comes through the portal. It's Goku. Or at least it looks like Goku. But it's not just him either. Kibito then watches as someone teleports in, not being able to act in time as he's struck down. Zamasu is teleported on the planet as well, and then goes to attack Shin. Kibito has already been killed, and Gohan tries to save Shin, but it's already too late. Especially because Goku Black gets in the way, fighting Gohan and stopping him before he could do anything. Despite not seeing Goku fight in the Universe 6 tournament, that still did set in motion the events that would eventually lead to Goku Black becoming a thing, leading to Zamasu meeting him like normal, and so on. Also, he did say Broly used god forms, and that's kind of what encouraged him to do this, not to mention the fact that Gohan was time traveling. In his eyes, Gohan's a sinner, and he's here to kill him just like the others. Goku Black traveled here, killed Gowasu, and recruited Zamasu. Now, unlike normal, Shin was still alive here, which meant Beerus was still alive, so he had to get rid of Shin somehow. Thankfully, by having Goku's body, that was the perfect distraction to get Gohan off them. They actually didn't expect Gohan to be here at the moment, but regardless, they were prepared. Distract him, then have Zamasu teleport in, and go after Shin. As Gohan's trying to hold off Goku Black, he sees Zamasu plunge a blade into Shin. And as he's fighting Goku Black, he comes to see that he's really strong. This is all so much happening at once. He just watched Shin and Kibito die, and now he's fighting someone who looks exactly like his father. This makes no sense to him. He tries to make sense of it, but he can't think of anything. But to make things worse, Goku Black rubs salt in the wound. He didn't expect to encounter Gohan right away, but it doesn't really matter to him. He lets Gohan know that now is where his sinning stops. This is all his fault. Everything happening right now, the deaths of Shin and Kibito, and the inevitable Zero Mortals plan, that's all because of him. And he lets Gohan know that everything he did, traveling through time and all, that was for nothing. Goku Black made sure to kill his entire family. They were living a good life, but no more. Going into detail explaining how he killed all of them. First taking Goku's body, then killing the alternate Chi-Chi and Goten, and then the alternate Gohan. He even lets Gohan know in that alternate timeline, he had his own family too, and of course all his other friends around him. Goku Black is trying to taunt him here, but instead he just strikes a nerve, which isn't really the best thing with Gohan. It's not like Gohan's necessarily weak right now either. He is holding off Goku Black. Goku Black's playing with his food, which is a really bad thing, because now, something changes in Gohan. Watching Shin and Kibito die right there, and then hearing how everyone died in the other timeline, particularly his family and friends, it did affect Gohan, but not in the way that Goku Black necessarily wanted. Zamasu's watching on with a grin, and then all of a sudden he's blown away. It's almost like a hurricane just spawned out of thin air. As he's sent flying, he stops himself midair and looks on. Where Gohan was standing is now just a huge pillar of light, then condensing into a fierce and strange aura. One moment Goku Black was taunting Gohan, and the next moment, he feels a sharp pain in his torso. A powerful beam flies right through him point blank. The wind and a chunk of his torso is knocked out of him, and he realizes that he's up in the sky now. He was just on the ground a moment ago. Whatever beam just went through him sent him flying up here. And then that aura on the ground disappears, and instead engulfs him. He could feel something incredibly powerful right next to him. It's terrifying. Even someone of his stature is shaking. He slowly turns around to see Gohan standing behind him, looking different than before, now with white hair, as well as piercing red eyes. Had Goku Black not looked like Goku, he would have just obliterated him on the spot. It looks like he got too ahead of himself, but he could tell he's just being tricked here. This man might look like Goku. It might actually be Goku's body, but clearly, it isn't Goku. He has no qualms about killing him. Slowly, he lifts up a hand, launching a blast that eradicates Goku Black. Zamasu's still watching on from afar, and Gohan goes to kill him next. And this is a pretty quick job. Zamasu actually isn't immortal yet. One of the reasons they needed to come here was because the Super Dragon Balls were partially in Universe 7. Maybe it wasn't a great idea for Zamasu to come here right away. He should have just let Goku Black handle everything, or they should have at least covertly collected the Dragon Balls. They thought they could kill Shin first and get that out of the way. But thanks to that, Gohan is able to kill him, quickly defeating Goku Black and Zamasu with his new power. He then slowly floats down towards the ground, going over to the bodies of Shin and Kibito. They're dead, but there is a glimmer of hope. As he holds onto their bodies, he suddenly feels power surging through them, and he hears a voice nearby. Elder Kai. He's still alive. He tells Gohan it's not too late. He can probably save them. Gohan's not really sure what he's talking about, but Elder Kai reminds him that thanks to his training here, he technically has the abilities of an apprentice Kai. They could heal others. Gohan's never actually tried this before, but instinctively he does try to fix this. And just at the moment when he thought he lost everything again, he's able to heal Shin and Kibito, bringing them back from death. Thankfully they weren't gone for too long, and with an immense influx in power for Gohan, he was able to heal them. Shin and Kibito are confused as to what happened, but they know Zamasu was involved somehow, and they saw Goku. Gohan himself still isn't too sure of what happened either, but then Elder Kai tells him about that power that Gohan unlocked. He has no clue what it is either. But what future Gohan became in that moment was Beast Gohan. They try and put all the pieces together, and Beerus actually does wake up here because, well, he died temporarily. That's definitely going to wake him up. But he doesn't meet Gohan, nor does he have the dream about a Super Saiyan God or anything. Rather, he's preoccupied with trying to figure out what just happened, and they eventually learn about what happened with Gowasu too. While the Kais from every universe and Beerus are trying to put the pieces together, Gohan returns home for a bit. He wants to see if he could warn everyone in the past and try and rectify everything, because if they truly died in that timeline, well, he's really their only hope of saving it. Bulma is able to fuel the time machine again, and Gohan's about to return, but he feels a power approaching Earth. Despite being in a completely separate realm, Gohan's power was felt pretty much across the entire universe, and it alerted two people that Gohan actually knows. It was a long shot, but after feeling that power, Vegeta decided to go to Earth, thinking that Kakarot might be the source of it. Even though it was in a completely different spot, and he didn't even know what Kakarot's power would feel like at this point, still, he decided to check. And he lands on Earth seeing that it's thriving once more. When he came and killed the androids, so much of it was destroyed, but now it looks like a normal society again. Or at least one that's still rebuilding. There's still a lot to be done. He and Broly land on the planet. Due to old age, Paragus is dead by now, so it's just these two. And someone greets them the second they land. It's Gohan. He's surprised to see them, greeting Broly too. How does he know Broly's name? Well, kind of a long story, but he asked why Vegeta's here. He felt that power. Vegeta's grown so strong out in space that now he needs someone to test this out against. He and Broly have been fighting constantly, and growing far beyond their limits. But finally, after all this time, Vegeta can get the fight on Earth that he wanted. He kinda just dragged Broly along. Broly doesn't even know who this guy is, nor why Gohan knows his name. That's obviously because when Gohan traveled back in time, he saw Broly there. Very briefly, but he knew that Vegeta was training with him. And he asked what form Vegeta has now. Has he achieved Super Saiyan 2? This also surprises Vegeta. It looks like Gohan's been making a lot of progress, but no, Super Saiyan 2 isn't his ceiling, nor is Super Saiyan 3. Interesting, Gohan never unlocked a Super Saiyan 3, but apparently that exists and there's something beyond it too. Vegeta showcases his new power. Without a tail, it was kind of tough to achieve this, but he eventually figured out the basics, especially with some help from Broly, thanks to seeing how he utilized his grade 8 power. So Gohan goes into his ultimate form, and the fight is pretty short-lived. He can see Vegeta still clearly is evil, but he's not here to destroy things needlessly. He just actually wanted to fight. And Vegeta's just so confused because it looks like Gohan hasn't changed at all, but whatever form he's using right now is beyond his Super Saiyan 4 form. What's worse is he learns Gohan's actually above that too. He does have another form beyond this, but he has some other things to work on right now. He'll seek out Vegeta soon and fight him again, but what he's trying to do now is kind of important. Although, before he leaves, he lets Vegeta know. The reason he knows who Broly is because he went to another timeline, and that's exactly where he's going to right now as well. In that timeline, Goku is still alive, and Vegeta got his fight with him. Vegeta can't believe what he's saying, but again, how else would Gohan know Broly? And while Vegeta still wasn't a great person at the time Gohan saw him there, he definitely didn't seem fully evil. and he lets future Vegeta know that that past version of Vegeta ended up beating Goku there. Gohan gets ready to go back in time, but now Vegeta wants to go along with him. He has a lot more questions, and he kind of wants to see this past version of himself, as well as Kakarot. Gohan's not really too sure about it, but it looks like he's not going back in time alone. Now he's bringing along Vegeta and Broly, the latter of whom he barely knows, and the former being an old mortal enemy of them. After being completely embarrassed by Gohan, Vegeta decides that he's going to go back to the past with him. Not only does he want to see more of Gohan's power, but he wants to see his past self and the past version of Kakarot. Broly doesn't really have a say in this, so he just goes along, and Gohan kind of goes with it too. He didn't really expect to see Vegeta after all this time, but hey, at least that gets rid of a loose end. He knows that Vegeta's not going to be a threat to him now. They all squeeze into the time machine and travel back to the past. Gohan already knows this won't change his timeline, but he's doing this to change the past. At least to make sure everything's safe there, so once he arrives back in the past, he warns everyone of Zamasu, which will set events in motion that'll lead to Beerus destroying him, so that's good enough. But of course the trip back isn't that simple. Gohan returning is pretty huge after all. They're immediately focused on Vegeta and Broly being in the time machine with him. Future Vegeta wastes no time, jumping out of the time machine, ready to encounter his past self as well as Kakarot. Finally, after all this time, he could settle the score with Kakarot. Surely he's not as strong as Gohan is. It does make sense to Vegeta. Gohan's a hybrid Saiyan, so he's gotta be much stronger than normal. But for Kakarot, he could fight him once more. Although President Vegeta kinda scoffs at this. There's no way he's gonna win that fight. It's kind of surprising to future Vegeta because the person doubting him most is his past self. He tells him to not underestimate himself. He's grown much stronger in the future. It looks like this Vegeta's gone soft, especially because that's what Gohan told him. Really, he's gone soft. Exactly the opposite. Sure, Earth has changed him, but he's far stronger than that Vegeta could ever hope to be. He is surprised that after all this time, that Vegeta is still like that. Alright, future Vegeta wants to test that out. Is his past self just being cocky, or is it actually true? He thinks it's the former. Utilizing Super Saiyan 4, Vegeta tries to fight his past self, although it's not really going to accomplish much. This is his full power. He'd like to see past Vegeta do this same thing. And Vegeta just laughs. Going Super Saiyan Blue. That form is definitely something new. They haven't seen anything like it before. It doesn't seem as powerful as their god forms, but still, pretty interesting to see nonetheless. And Vegeta is a bit curious about that form. Super Saiyan 4 he calls it, huh? Now, future Vegeta can't even sense the power from this, so he really doesn't know what to think of it. But blue hair definitely is different. He's ready to see what's more powerful. And, in one shot, President Vegeta wins the fight, humbling his future self. This is for his future self's own good. He's still that same old Saiyan he was a while ago. And that's what's limiting him. He's thinking far too narrowly with everything. And this is exactly why he said he couldn't beat Kakarot. Because Kakarot's on his level. Future Vegeta doesn't stand a chance. What is that power he just experienced? Again, since he can't feel it, he doesn't even realize what he got hit with. Future Broly also meets past Broly too, learning that he got full control on his power. But more important, Gohan has some more time to spend with Goku, and Goku wants to see how strong he's grown. It's kind of a shame because present Gohan's a bit busy right now and can't make it over here, but hopefully he can arrive in time. And he does. Although he missed a good chunk of the fight. When he arrives, he sees Super Saiyan Blue Goku fighting Beast Gohan. They just transformed into their strongest forms. They've been fighting prior to this. Gohan's really glad to see his future self once more, but more so he's confused because he's never seen that form before. And not just from himself, but from anybody. But he's gonna get a good display. Future Gohan defeats Goku really easily. But future Gohan does have a request. His new form is really powerful, and it's definitely way beyond Super Saiyan Blue. But maybe it would be good to test it out against a fusion, and Goku has a perfect idea, looking at Vegeta. Vegeta doesn't really want to do that silly dance in front of everyone, but whatever, he goes along with it. He mainly doesn't want to hear his future self's reaction because he'll definitely laugh at it. And he does. Future Vegeta thinks it's ridiculous. But he hasn't seen ridiculous yet. What's really ridiculous is the power of the fusion that comes out of this. A somewhat new fusion is born. This one has actually been made before. On Beerus' planet they have tried fusion here and there, and since Goku and Vegeta are at a similar power anyways, that means they're pretty much perfect fusion partners, not to mention the fact that they're rivals. Apparently that boosts them even further. So they've tested out the dance before, and of course Vegeta knows it now. This fusion is what they call Gogeta, and he goes Super Saiyan Blue right away. What a perfect chance to use this. There's a bunch of spectators right now. Both Broly's, future Vegeta, Gohan, and even Piccolo, Krillin, and Cell are here too, with Cell watching very closely to try and collect more data from this. You know, it's kinda strange for future Gohan to see Goku and Vegeta fusing, but it does kinda make sense. Last time he saw Vegeta, he definitely wasn't a great person, but he really wasn't even sure if he'd be here on Earth, but no, he is. He lives here now. He actually got married to Bulma and they just had a kid not too long ago. What a strange turn of events for him. And of course, future Vegeta learning all this too is really weird. It's definitely much more jarring from his perspective. Either way though, this is a nice surprise for Gohan. After Gogeta goes Super Saiyan Blue, Gohan does lose the fight, but then he notices something else. There's a new person in the crowd that he doesn't really recognize. It takes a second for it to click, but it's Cell. Wow, Bulma actually did go through with it, and it seems like it worked because he's here, and he's normal, and he definitely looks perfect compared to the other Cell.
He arrived here after the fact just to watch the fight. And it's pretty intriguing to see him here. Either way though, they all thank Gohan for his help in preventing Zamasu, and Gohan thanks them for the fun experience. Hopefully future Vegeta and Broly got something out of this. He says goodbye to Goku and his past self. And while present Gohan isn't really training as much as the others, still he is curious. Before future Gohan leaves, he asks him about that form that he has. He honestly has no clue what it is either. It's a form stemming from rage, and that's really all he knows. But if he could achieve it, he's sure his past self can too. They are basically the same person after all. And it's kind of weird seeing him now fully grown up, because it's like looking in a mirror. It's not like before when Gohan was a kid, and he was seeing a younger version of himself. He still is seeing a younger version of himself, but now he's fully grown. He just has a different haircut, no scar, and both his arms. Otherwise, they look identical. Either way, they're of course glad to see each other, and future Gohan returns home with Vegeta and Broly, who have been pretty much speechless ever since Vegeta beat Vegeta. And then after all the God form stuff too, yeah, that left them with nothing else to say. So, Gohan goes home to rectify any loose ends, and it looks like now, Earth might have 2 new residents. While things seemed dire at first, Gohan was at least able to counter it, leaving this arc with a clean ending. That also means that there's not a second Zeno here, so Zeno is going to get pretty bored pretty quickly. He doesn't have a friend to play with after all. But he does remember that tournament between Universe 6 and 7. That seemed pretty fun. So, he sets up the Tournament of Power. It happens as early as possible, at least as soon as the Super Dragon Balls return after the Universe 6 tournament. So pretty much exactly a year after that. Universe 7 has to put together a team now. For the leader, it's probably going to be Cell. He is the strongest here, and he's also the smartest on the team. Despite Cell being a good guy, he is pretty proud of himself, and Bulma's pretty proud of him too, because she did a really good job making him, much better than whatever Jiro can muster. He already has a good idea for a team in mind. We have Cell, Goku, Vegeta, Broly, Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Tenshinhan, Roshi, and Yamcha. The humans are all here thanks to being stronger than normal from fusion training. Some like Yamcha probably weren't training as much recently, but still, they're strong enough to warrant being on the team. The androids could be recruited here, but no one really knows them like normal. Either way, their team is good as is, so they're not really too short of members and don't need to recruit the androids, or recruit Frieza for that matter. And now, the Tournament of Power commences. This is going to be another one of those cases where the tournament is kind of a wash, because look at how strong Universe 7 is. First of all, there's obviously Goku and Vegeta. As we know in Dragon Ball, having better training partners means you're growing stronger, so Goku and Vegeta aren't going to be significantly more cracked than normal here, but I think the difference is still big enough that it's worth mentioning here. Although, maybe by this point they'd have Blue Evolution, I think it's fair to say they'd probably have that around here. But that's just them. For the rest of the team, it's weird because, first of all, someone like Piccolo isn't as strong as normal, particularly because nothing happened with him in Kami before. And Gohan's also in kind of a weird spot due to what's happened differently with him. Not to say they're weak, just weaker than normal. The humans, on the other hand, are actually all stronger than normal. But we're forgetting 2 big heavy hitters, Broly and Cell. Broly by now is of course only using Super Saiyan Blue, but still, it's Super Saiyan Blue Broly. I mean, think of what that can do. There should be no issue with him controlling his power here. By this point he's trained so much, and this form is all about serenity, so combine the 2 together, and you have a Broly who's perfectly in control. As for Cell, well, he's even beyond Broly. Not just in terms of power, but in terms of technique, intelligence, strategy, everything. Which is what makes him such a great training partner after all. And a great leader as well. He does come up with some strategies for the team, and Goku, Vegeta, and Broly don't really listen to it because they just fight like regular Saiyans do. Which Cell kind of expected, but it's fine, they could all handle themselves. If anyone's fighting Jiren, it's probably going to be Broly or Cell. Either of them here is strong enough to take him on. But that also would mean there's a side effect of no Ultra Instinct popping up here. Which is fine, Goku's probably gone beyond Blue at this point, either using Blue Evolution or definitely using Blue Kaioken. Maybe he'd even have access to both. And while any of them could have fused during this tournament, they didn't really need to. Although it is worth mentioning, everyone on the team besides Roshi does know fusion. But no one decided to fuse because that means 2 people eliminated at once if they do lose. But it's really a testament to their strength because they could fight alone and they could be fine. Although, Ten and Yamcha were close to fusing at one point. Same for Gohan and Piccolo, but no one really wanted to rely on it too much. The only person that actually did fuse was Kefla. Although, not through the fusion dance of course, through the Potara earrings. Which is pretty new for everybody. That's the first time they're seeing Potara fusion. Interesting to know that there's another method and it doesn't involve the dance. Most of them don't mind the dance part. But that form of fusion definitely seems way more convenient because you just put on earrings and it's done. Not to mention, you get your own cool clothes. Either way, the tournament ends, Universe 7 wins, and all the other universes come back because no matter who gets MVP on the team, they're probably going to make a selfless wish. And it's probably going to be Cell getting MVP because he's the strongest on the team as well as the leader. And he's definitely not getting knocked out at the ring here. But it was a good experience for everyone at least. So, what do we have following the tournament? Obviously there's not going to be a Broly movie because, well, Broly is already here. Although that does bring up the question, what's Paragus up to? He's definitely way into his old age by now. Which is also why they probably wouldn't even have considered him for the tournament. Thankfully he's lived a way better life here than on Vampa. I mean, obviously. And now the guy's enjoying his retirement. I feel like when he came to Earth a while ago, he probably would have gotten some job at Capsule Corp, and with him being a Saiyan, maybe the best thing to put him as would be security, although it's not like he was working long because after he came to Earth, his rapid aging would start not too long after. And that's kind of a surprise for everyone else because they've never really seen this in action, but Vegeta drops this tidbit, mentioning that Saiyans stay in their prime for a while and then one year they just do that. But even with the rapid aging, it's still nice for Paragus. He's not fending for his life on Vampa, rather, he's on the golf course. He's traded in his Saiyan armor for polo shirts. The Moro arc is next up. Moro escapes prison, and with really no better option, Mayris goes to Earth to try and see if anyone can help, leading to Goku, Vegeta, and Broly going to Namek. Cell decides to hang back because they want to have that fight and he knows he's not even going to have a chance to battle. Although this is kind of a blessing in disguise because if Cell was there, Moro would get way more energy. Because when they get there, they try and fight Moro and he actually wins. And he gets a lot of energy because it's Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. After defeating them, he's able to get the Dragon Balls and then make his wishes, regaining his youth and freeing all the other prisoners. In a desperate attempt to stop him with no other option in mind, Goku and Vegeta fuse into Gogeta. If they hit him with enough raw power, they should be able to kill him. Even with the power he's gained so far, they believe a full power Gogeta can beat him. The issue is, Gogeta is not at full power right now. Even though Goku and Vegeta have healed up a bit, they still did lose a lot of energy, and even right before they fused, they couldn't even access their fullest forms. The best they could muster was Super Saiyan God, and when they're Gogeta, they try and transform and the best they could do is Super Saiyan 2. Their power is still being drained, and eventually goes down to Super Saiyan, then Base. Gogeta is still really strong in Base, he is the sum of his parts multiplied. But he realizes how dangerous this is and that he probably shouldn't fight Moro. He's growing stronger, and if anything, Moro's just going to get more energy from him. He has no exact counter for Moro's energy absorption. He was hoping to get at least one shot in, but it's not like fusing didn't have any use. It's still good as a defensive measure and helps him escape the planet, with Mayris, Broly, Gogeta, and the rest of the Galactic Patrol escaping. And with all the energy that's been drained, Gogeta then defuses pretty quickly, way faster than normal. Now, they need to figure out some way to defeat Moro, especially because he might have his eyes set on Earth.
The Saiyans need to come up with a new strategy because obviously raw power isn't going to win here. They kind of knew that in the first place going into it, but how are they supposed to fight someone that could just absorb energy? Being strong is kind of counterintuitive, but at the same time they do need power to fight him. Thankfully they have Mayris, and they decide that their best option is to train with him because Goku could tell that something is up with him, and he clearly knows more than he's letting on, at least in terms of his fighting abilities. Whis of course has been leading them towards Ultra Instinct, and it seems Mayris clearly knows about something similar. Since Goku never actually went to Yardrat here either, Vegeta doesn't have the idea to go to Yardrat. It might cross his mind because he'd know that they have some weird techniques there, but Broly ends up going with Goku and Vegeta decides to go along too because he doesn't want to be left behind. So the three Saiyans end up training under Mayris for the next few months. Soon enough, some of the Galactic Patrol prisoners show up on Earth, and there's not really much that they're going to accomplish here. Earth does have some pretty strong people there. Gohan, Piccolo, and Cell of course are there. And with ease all of these prisoners are defeated. Cell actually finds it kind of interesting because one of them's an android, although Cell is the perfect android, so of course that guy's not going to win. He ends up killing 7-3 completely. And for the rest of the prisoners, they're defeated with pretty much no struggle. So Earth is safe for now, and Moro also sees that they do have potential to be great snacks. So he makes sure the prisoners warn them that Moro is going to be there soon. That way these people on Earth can train up, and Moro could take their energy too. Specifically Cell. He seems quite powerful, and Moro is interested in taking his energy. He probably has a lot in store. But same for the other two, the Hybrid Saiyan and the Namekian. So now we enter that same period where they just trained for 2 months. On Earth, Cell and Piccolo basically lead everyone, while Mayris trains Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. Broly's focus is more power, while Goku and Vegeta are trying to break their limits and learn whatever Whis was trying to show them. And with Mayris' guidance, they could probably be led to there. Anyways, just like he said, after about 2 months, Moro decides to go to Earth. Goku, Vegeta, and Broly are all on their way, and without instant transmission they can't just get there right away. But thankfully, those on Earth are prepared. First, a bunch of Galactic Patrol prisoners come in. The prisoners go up against all the Z fighters, and especially with some of them being stronger than normal, like the humans specifically, I don't see these fights being too hard. Pretty much everyone here is stronger than they were normally, or at least on par with where they were. Plus, Cell being one of the strongest people around. Not just the strongest on Earth, but even if we include Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, he's strong in his own right there too. So it's not like the prisoners can really do much against this crew, because this crew is pretty stacked. Although Moro does try to give them some more energy to fight, and even with that, it's not really doing much because Cell is there. And now he gets to finally encounter Moro. Cell was waiting for this too. This should be fun. He's heard this guy's strong, and it should be a nice encounter. Through Mayris, they actually contacted Jocko, who then contacted Cell. So everyone here knows a little bit about Moro, and Cell also knows what to expect, and he also does have a strategy for himself too. He's strong, but he doesn't really have anything in mind in terms of actually countering Moro's magic. But he has something a lot better in mind. Moro finds Cell pretty interesting, and can see that he's definitely going to be a good snack. The two of them begin fighting, and Cell works off of all of the info he has on Moro. What he's doing right now is just stalling, which is good for him because it means he gets to enjoy his fight, but also he's not giving Moro any more energy. Cell is really holding back here. If he shows too much of that, Moro could just absorb that himself, and then he'll get the upper hand. Some of Cell's energy is being drained, but he's handling it pretty well. He's fighting mostly defensively and trying to just see what more was made of. Really, he's buying time for Goku, Vegeta, and Broly to arrive. But it's fun for Cell too. He gets to give himself a nice handicap while fighting a strong opponent. This would be great for him. I'm sure he'd find a lot of enjoyment in this. But Cell isn't the main event here. At some point, Goku, Vegeta, and Broly do arrive on Earth, and Moro's glad to finally see them again, especially because he wants to get their energy again, of course. He doubts that they'll be able to do anything here because it'll just go like last time. Sure, they might have gotten stronger, but that's not going to do anything against a guy that could absorb energy. But they do seem a little confident. First off, Broly goes up to fight, which kind of drops Moro's guard because he thinks they're going to do the same strategy again, try and overpower him and see if that works. And this is exactly what they want. Cell stalled him, and now Broly's essentially going to do the same thing, just fighting as a distraction. If Broly went all out right now, his power is actually high enough to defeat Moro at the moment. But for some reason he's not. He's holding back. And Moro could tell that Cell and Broly are doing the same thing. They're not using their full power for some reason. They know to be careful with him, and he says that's not going to work. They're going to have to use their full strength if they want to win here. Well, that's not really what they're going for. There's a bright flash of light nearby. By this point in the story, and especially after all their training with Mayris, Goku and Vegeta are very content fighting together. Plus, even though they could fight Moro one-on-one, it would be a lot more fun to do this. The bright flash of light clears, and Gogeta is standing there once more. Gogeta specifically has a score to settle with Moro. He needs to fix his win-loss record. And Moro just laughs at this. They are using the same strategy again. It's not going to work. But he appreciates them fusing again because that's going to give him a good amount of energy. But that's not exactly what they're doing here. Gogeta powers up, and he does show off a lot of new power, but his form looks different this time. Well, actually, he doesn't really look too much different. His eyes and his hair slightly change, but otherwise the most notable thing is his aura being different. And Moro could tell that this isn't a normal technique. This form is something of the gods, isn't it? Gogeta showcases Ultra Instinct Omen. This is what he's been training for. Given how strong Moro has grown by now, he's not sure if Goku or Vegeta could have done this individually. Even with the power of Ultra Instinct, they might have just not had the power in general to defeat Moro. After absorbing Broly's energy and growing even stronger after that, it was kind of a little too much for them to handle, and it wouldn't really be smart to risk it just so they could have a one-on-one fight. Plus, Gogeta needs to get his revenge. Now the final match begins. Ultra Instinct Omen Gogeta versus Moro. At first, Moro tries to steal his energy, but he can't keep up with Gogeta. Gogeta's far too fast. All of his movements are instant, and he's trying to make sure that Moro doesn't steal his power at all. He of course knows how to work around that by now. That's what he's been training for. In those 2 months, they've definitely grown a lot, not just in terms of power, but technique too. Plus, they have the strategy here. Although for these 3 Saiyans, it was more like 6 months because they did have that special realm they trained in with Mayris. The rest of the crew watches on pretty amazed too because, well, for one, it's a very powerful battle, but second of all, it's a pretty huge spectacle. Cell particularly is interested. He yells out to Gogeta, telling Gogeta that he'll have to give Cell a shot at fighting him too. He really wants to take that power for a test drive. Moro tells Cell to not get too ahead of himself. This is where they die, so he's not even going to have that chance. But Gogeta begs to differ. This is where Moro dies. Pretty quickly, the tide of the battle turns. Gogeta completely overwhelms Moro. Unfortunately, there's no way for him to return all this energy, but with some smart wishes from the Dragon Balls, maybe they could fix that. Moro doesn't even have 7-3 as a backup plan because he's dead. He tries to take energy from the other fighters, but Gogeta prevents that. He's overwhelming Moro so much that he doesn't have an opportunity to take energy from others. Gogeta expresses that it's kind of a shame he has to do this. Moro seems like a really interesting fighter, and it definitely was fun fighting him, even under these circumstances. But he can't let him run rampant like that. Plus, he's on Earth, so they have to be extra careful here. And pretty quickly, Gogeta ends the fight, killing Moro for good, preventing any more destruction. And with that, we end the Moro arc. So, where do we go from here now? Well, the events of the General arc probably wouldn't happen without Frieza around, so we could pretty safely skim over that. As for Superhero, though, I also think that's going to be something that's going to get stopped right away. Sure, there would probably be an attempt to make another Cell, but there already is a Cell here, so once he catches wind of it, Cell would be more than enough to stop the other androids and prevent Cell Max from being awoken. Cell would actually probably be the main target of the Red Ribbon Army if anything, but it's not really like they could do anything against him here. But we still have a few other loose ends. Let's go to the future timeline for a bit. So, future Beerus temporarily did die and then eventually came back. Of course, that's kind of a big deal, so he's going to do something about that. And it eventually leads to him hearing about Gohan, the strongest warrior in Universe 7 and someone who actually trained under the Supreme Kai. He ends up going to Earth, and he wonders if future Gohan could actually be his rival. On Earth, he also finds Vegeta and Broly. Intrigued by Vegeta's power too, because it's something he's never really seen before from a Saiyan. Broly is trying to work towards the same thing, but for now, Vegeta is the only one with Super Saiyan 4. As for Gohan though, he's way above either of them. And that's the most intriguing thing to Beerus. He really wants to see more of Gohan's power, especially because this guy could be his rival. Although, one thing that doesn't really sit right with Beerus is the fact that Gohan doesn't have any sort of godly ki. But that could be easily fixed. He has more than enough power to back it up, so once he gets that godly ki, he'll definitely be a worthy rival for Beerus. The two of them fight there on Earth, and Beerus decides to go forward with this. So in the future timeline, this means Gohan actually is Beerus' rival here. But Broly and Vegeta aren't left behind. They actually do go to Beerus' planet as well. At the very least, we know the future timeline is in safe hands, and Gohan is living a peaceful life as well as growing much stronger than before. Things were pretty bad at first, but he started to turn it all around. And now he's on the path to becoming a god. let's go back to the present timeline. Once more, looking at Beerus, except the present version obviously. So, Gogeta used Ultra Instinct, but that's not because he's the only one who could use it. Goku and Vegeta individually can use it. They both train under the Mayris. They just plan to fuse against Moro just to hedge their bets. They wanted to be extra safe here. Normally they probably wouldn't do this, but I'm going to say they go ahead and make the smart choice here. This pretty much guarantees a win for them, which it did. So Beerus is curious. Whis told him about Gogeta using Ultra Instinct, so now he wants to see it from both of them. Both Goku and Vegeta show off Ultra Instinct only. As for Broly, he's been working towards that, but he hasn't gotten there just yet. Although he's probably going to get there soon enough. Not that he's falling behind though. With Super Saiyan Blue, he's actually above them in terms of power. By a pretty good margin too. They just have better skill to back themselves up with Ultra Instinct, and once Broly gets Ultra Instinct, that's probably going to be pretty terrifying. So Beerus has a pretty good selection of rivals right now. Cell wants it too. So he starts working towards this as well, and he's probably going to be able to adapt pretty quickly. He's not going to get it instantly, but after fighting Goku and Vegeta enough, and after getting to fight Ultra Instinct Gogeta like he wanted, he starts to learn more and more about it. And Ultra Instinct Gogeta is actually enough to give Cell a challenge. He actually wins that battle. But more importantly, it shows him a lot more about Ultra Instinct that he didn't really know before. Cell is taking in all this data and analyzing it for himself. He is kind of the perfect fighter after all, and really smart to begin with anyways. At some point he probably will get Ultra Instinct for himself, and Goku and Vegeta keep working on it, eventually completing the form. They haven't fully mastered it to the level of Whis yet, but a few years have passed since the Moro arc ended, and now they have more than enough experience with the form to actually do this. Beerus really did make a good choice bringing all these four here. He wonders which of them is going to surpass him first though. Actually, he hasn't fought them in a while, so maybe they already have surpassed him. So he decides to do that. He fights against Goku and Vegeta. Sure, they've grown a bunch in skill, and they've grown a ton in power, but they're not quite on his level yet. Then he fights against Broly. Broly actually has more than enough power to back this up, and by this point, especially with Super Saiyan Blue, I'd be surprised if he didn't surpass Beerus. Even with how strong Beerus is, I mean, come on, it's Super Saiyan Blue Broly. He's above Beerus here. And the same goes for Cell. Beerus fights him, and Cell's above him too. So the real question now is, who's stronger between the two of them? Cell or Broly? Beerus is glad he got his fight out of that, and now this kind of gives him more motivation to keep training. He'll surpass them again. He is the god of destruction, so he has to become the strongest again. Well, besides Whis at least. But for the time being, he lets Broly fight Cell in order to see who's the stronger between the two of them. Now at this point, Cell actually does have some of Broly's DNA within him too, so he grows incredibly quick as well. Cell is really cracked here, although Broly's Broly after all. But from the technical side, Cell is a better fighter. He's smarter, he's more skilled, he has a wider variety of techniques, and he does have Ultra Instinct, the completed version by now actually. Plus, he does have the power to back this up. So, it looks like they have their answer. Right now, the strongest in the universe seems to be Cell, and he also might be the strongest mortal just in general actually. It's a good thing Bulma turned him good, because who knows what would have happened if Cell was actually a bad guy. Well, they did kind of see that. The Red Ribbon Army did try and make another Cell, but thankfully Cell stopped that. Cell might need to take it easy for a bit because part of his enjoyment in fighting is fighting people who are stronger than him. And now if he's above all the gods of destruction, that's kind of an issue. But hey, he can at least take a role in training all the others. And he does see potential in Gohan, especially after what happened with future Gohan showing them that beast form. Maybe present Gohan could pull that off and show them something cool too. But as for the Saiyans here, that's who Cell has his eyes on as well. And Beerus is going to continue growing too. The craziest part is, he didn't expect to be surpassed by all of them individually. He thought, sure, maybe as fusions, yeah, he'd be beaten by a fused fighter, but no, there's two individuals here stronger than him. And Goku and Vegeta might be on the path to actually growing stronger than him individually as well. If they were to fuse right now, they're likely going to be above him as well. That is what Beerus wanted out of a rival anyways. But Goku and Vegeta aren't really going to rely on fusion too much anymore. Not that they really relied on it in the first place, but it's more of a fun thing and a last resort. It's not something they'd want to use all the time. Sure, there were certain circumstances where Goku had to fuse with someone because he really had no other choice, or because it was the best way to guarantee a victory. But as great as fusion is, at the end of the day, Goku, and Vegeta by extension, both just love fighting as Saiyans one-on-one. Sure, it's really fun to push the power of fusion and see how far it truly goes, and it's useful for a lot of other people too. It saved them from a lot of sticky situations. But for the time being, no more fusion for them. They're gonna get so powerful that they won't even need fusion ever again. And while Vegeta does like Ultra Instinct, he wonders if there's maybe something else for him out there. He kinda just learned it because he went along with everyone and trained under Mayris, and because they saw that as the only way to defeat Moro at the time. But Vegeta's probably gonna try and branch out and see if there's anything else. As for Goku, he wants to get Ultra Instinct to the level of Whis. No, beyond that too. He'll keep on growing, and so will the others. Saiyans have no limits after all. And with that, we end off our scenario here. What do you guys think about this story? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps with the channel and it shows me you want to see more stories like this in the future. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting the scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.